Oh, it says on the screen right now, we live, folks. Hey, so listen, some of the people, if they go back and watch the replay, they get to watch all of this. Look, I'm looking at everybody's face right now. Pat, you're the only one out here that got all the experience of being in front of the big cameras, the hot lights, and all of that.
Get out of
Hey, so
Get out
if you look at Steph, you look at Stan, and you can probably see it on my face too. Hey, listen, it always get tense about that last 5 seconds when Mitchie counts you down and says that. You're the only one that just like, hey, let's do it.
Hey, you just keeping it real. I mean, it's real talk with AB. We just being real. I mean, we wouldn't be no different if we weren't live, if we were just normal. I mean, we just keeping it real. But bro, I think you got quite a bit of experience too. So don't shortchange yourself.
I mean, that's true. But I can still say this though, man. Just when she counts it down from that 5, 4, I get a little something in my stomach, man. It just give me that. I'll be thinking about taking a shot or something, just to calm it down. But once the light goes green on my end, then we good. Hey, so what's up, folks? Go ahead. I'm just gonna go ahead and get into this intro and let everybody know. Just say, what's good, everybody. You've been watching my videos, I always say that. But on the real though, hey, welcome to Real Talk with AB. And I think this is gonna be a great show. You guys can see it's 3 other guests in here. Listen, we got Pat Neely, we got Stan from Sweet Smoky Joe, and then we got a special guest down there. Her name is Steph, right? You guys can ask her what that stands for and all of that. But listen, she's gonna be representing, and I'm gonna say this a few times because we gotta wait till it sends a notification out to everybody. You know what I mean? But she told me to say she from Chucktown. So listen, if you from South Carolina, you know what that means. You know what I mean? So that's where she from. She gonna represent, kicking some knowledge, from there. I had a chance to meet the young lady. She came out here. She came out here on some business. She came to the studio. I actually wasn't here. Listen, my staff called me. I come in and met her. She watched the taping and just been like just like a friend ever since. You know what I mean? So
that's great.
She's here and that's that. Look, I'm not going to take everybody's time up. I want you guys to talk and, introduce yourselves right before we get into it. But I got to say this, y'all. Hey, welcome, Facebook. I see y'all, fam. Hey, that technology is just, it's just right. And I'm gonna go ahead and pay homage to my team here that's making all of this possible. I'm gonna start to my right. That'll be Mitchie. She's the show producer.
Hello.
I hate to do this, because when I do it, she's waving her hand, but you should see what she's using. She mad because I haven't pulled the trigger on the mic yet. And that's Nada. Listen, she's the sound engineer. And then eventually when I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag, Pat. Eventually you guys are gonna see Pat Neely right here next to me. Whether we here, we in Georgia, we in New York, we down in Louisiana, but we'll be side by side, and he will be excuse me, let me just say this. He will be co-hosting, season number 2, you guys. So it'll be Real Talk with AB and Pat Neely. You guys heard it here.
What? Huh? Y'all better look out. Y'all better look out.
You better tell them something.
Hey, look, set this damn thing on fire.
Hey, they ain't seen nothing until we get out here and get these pots clanging. You know what I mean?
What? I'm so excited. I am over the moon excited. I'll say real quick because I want Stan to introduce himself, and I can't dominate. And AB know I talk a lot, but when AB and I met, we just clicked from day one. We realized we had so much in common, and then I was guest on one of his shows a few weeks ago, and it just went through the roof. And so we've been having these conversations about joining forces, and I'm super excited. I'm over the moon excited, but I can't wait to dive into the conversations today because I think your guest's gonna be able to drop a little knowledge on me, AB.
Hey, you know what? I'm counting on it because I'm not gonna lie to you. Like my grandmother and my mom just taught me like the basics. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this is this and this is that. But I've learned so much from the people that follow my channel, man. You know what I mean? Just to just to hear like the different tricks. Hey, you should try this. Maybe next time use the bag, shake and bake like your granny did instead of me doing them individually. So I learn every day, and that's why I stay in my look, South Carolina is here.
Oh,
damn. Tell me you know what Chucktown is. We're going to be looking for a response back from you. You know what I mean? You got to know about that right there. Okay, so
now tell us.
Tell us. Hey, look, so now we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Stan. Stan, talk to him.
Well, I think that the proper thing to do would be let ladies go first. So if it's okay, I would like Stephanie to start this off.
Hey, but I appreciate you saying that, man. But you just made me look bad in front of about 1,000 people right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was not. I did not.
My bad. Steph,
I did not
please
mean
forgive.
to.
Please forgive.
I took that from you, AB.
Okay, yeah. You know, I'm on the West. You know what I mean? That Southern hospitality, it just slipped my mind. Let me be quiet. Steph, you got it. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Steph. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, also known as Chucktown. For those of you who don't know, I'm excited to be here and be a part of the panel and talk about the food history of Charleston. So,
Hey, okay.
Fantastic.
You know, I'm eager to learn. You know what I mean? And then I'm eager to get some input from all of the people just watching from Facebook, YouTube, and anywhere else you guys are seeing this. Don't forget, you guys, wherever you get your local podcast, you can download this. All you got to do is search wherever you're getting your podcast from. Real talk with AB. But then you know what? The show is going to change. Don't forget that, because season 2, it'll be Real Talk with AB and Pat Neely. You know what I mean? So everything will be still familiar with you guys know. But with that being said, Stan, you got it, man.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks a lot, AB. It is such a pleasure to be here for the second time in just a few weeks. I mean, I don't know why the sun's shining on me, but I'm going to run with it and have some fun. It's a pleasure to meet Steph and Pat, and it's always love meeting new people. I am just excited myself to learn about this food and what everyone can bring to the pun intended bring to the table. And I think that it's going to be a great show. I think this is a great platform. Everyone has something that they can share, and we can all impart whatever knowledge we have, and then hopefully take away even more and have a great conversation about this.
That's what Will said.
Yes.
That just got to be me. I guess my flavor just make me want to say, "Hey, that's what's up." You know what I mean? When I'm answering, hey, hey, that's just me. You know what I mean? Just forgive me, guys. Hey, listen, I see everybody dropping in their state, seeing California in here, Nashville, Tennessee. Somebody said, Colorado, baby, all of that. Michigan, Chucktown. Oh, Pam just hit it right now. She say Chucktown is in Charleston. That's right. Okay. So, and then I saw this. I gotta say this because this is where my roots come from. A lot of people ask me, like, am I, from like Louisiana? I got people from Louisiana, but mostly everybody's like in Alabama. They're kind of like spread out all over, but that's where it originated from. Mobile, Alabama, Birmingham, all, and like a couple other places like that. So that's where all this cooking come from. That was my grandmama, big mama, the whole shebang.
Right.
So, okay, so we got that out. Oh, Richard, you put that Alabama. I got to say something about that. Then listen, today's show, we're going to talk about the origin of food and why we have food. Like, just give a little bit of history. You know what I mean? Meaning, I'm going to give an example right now. We might not be able to get to everybody's comment, but please leave a comment, right?
Yes.
Leave a comment. You never know how we picking them. And if you don't get mad because somebody else is picking them, you'll see me doing this. And as I'm reaching out, I'm trying to go down, get this one, all of that. You know what I mean? But we're probably going to take a couple of callers, you know what I mean? And then we'll do, obviously, we'll pick some of the comments in here and post them up on the screen and read them and answer them. Hey, and you know what? I got to pay homage to Texas, no matter what part of Texas you in. What? Town? Yeah, I have to. You know what I mean? Like a big portion of my following come from there.
Right.
Be honest with you, is everybody. Look, I'm not finna over talk it. We finna get right into this show, and then we just finna just start talking and let it take its own life. So look, I was gonna give an example. I'm gonna give an example like this. Hey, I'll start with the stereotype, and check it out. I'm gonna talk about the hard and the stuff nobody really want to talk about. Let's just talk about like why I'll start off by saying this. Black people, why everybody say that we like watermelon and why we like fried chicken.
Boy, you didn't put that shit right out there.
Oh yeah.
Now you wanna just start with history, and you gonna start right there?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Hey, yeah. You know what? This probably could be one of them shows that can go on forever, bro. You know what I mean? Hey, once you get to addressing all of that, once we talk about oxtails, you know what I mean, and all of that, and then I know he can't wait because it's so intriguing to me about that poke salad. You know what I mean? Hey, we gonna do that one. We gonna do that one too. You know what I mean? So Okay, folks. So look, I'll let you guys say what you know about that. I can tell you what I learned, and you guys let me know if that's what you guys know. Yeah, I'm actually driving, listening to the talk radio in my car as I'm going back and forth to Vegas, right? So I heard him say why it is about the watermelon. And he said, do you ever want to know why everybody say blacks like watermelon? These were comedians talking, but they was giving some real knowledge, right? And then I was like, hey, you got my ear on the speaker. Now I want to know, like, why did they say we like watermelon like that? And then I found out that because after we were freed, and then watermelon is so easy to grow and it's cheap. That was our e-commerce. Everybody was selling watermelon, to each other for those who wasn't growing it themselves and didn't have the land. And so they were selling it like that. Now, it just became like, hey, the blacks got the watermelon. You know what I mean? And and then I like try to do a little fact check. I looked it up and hey, true enough, that's true. And so anybody you guys can take on about and talk about fried chicken or something like that.
Well, I think AB, so much about food history is so rich in the African American community. I truly believe that. I mean, when you go all the way back and you think about it, it was the slaves doing the cooking. It was the black folks doing the cooking. They had to live off of the land. And so things like watermelon, chickens were very cheap. Yeah. They produced. They had multiple uses in terms of the hens producing eggs. And so our ancestors, they had to eat what was available. And a lot of times it was what was left over. And I'll say this because I really want to hear everybody else's comment. AB knows, I don't know if everybody else knows, last year, right after during the pandemic, I decided I got several acres on my property to start a garden. And I was so disappointed because I planted watermelon. And there's a lot goes into gardening, which really brings back the roots of, you got to prepare the soil. And, my mother is 85 years of age. And when I started my garden, I was like, Mom, that garden got to be watered. I said, and I'm trying to figure it out because it's a good 200 yards away from any faucets or anything on my property. And she says, well, what do you think that they did back in the day when there was slavery and they had all these thousands of acres? And I was like, shit, I don't know what they do, Mom. And she said, well, they relied on Mother Nature. And I said, okay, well, that's cool, but I'm looking for a real successful garden. So I put a tripod up. But to get back to watermelon, because I got everything out to AB. I can't wait to come in. You really see what I'm growing. I finally, y'all, the vines have grown on the watermelon, and I got my first watermelon. It's about that big, and I can't wait for it to grow. And hopefully, but last year I couldn't get any, and my father-in-law told me, he said, watermelon is going to be the hardest thing for you to grow. So I think a lot of it has to do with the resources and what people during that time had access to. And as we get into some of the other recipes and ingredients and stuff, we'll talk about why they chose why these dishes became so popular. But it was because it came straight from the land. And those, when you had thousands of acres, you put those watermelons in the ground. What I see now is that the vines just grow forever. And I'm doing cantaloupe right now. And the cantaloupe, I probably got 12 or 13 cantaloupe, and they're hanging on the fence because I've got a fence line and just growing. So I think a lot of it has to do with that. But I would say chicken was something, if you really go back and look, you saw people with a hatchet and the chicken sitting there and he cut his head off. I've never plucked one. Right. Those folks were something else, but it's quite amazing when you start getting into the history.
Hey, anytime, Steph and Stan, you want to get in there? Because listen, me and Pat will be long-winded. You ain't got to raise your hand. You just got to get in there and just say, hey, right, dog it off. You know what I mean? Hey, you want to get in there and respond.
And I'm never insulted because I talk a lot. I'm never insulted. Just
no.
Hold on, Pat. Hold on.
I'm long-winded too. Hey, but you know what? You took me back. You took me back when you said cantaloupe. Y'all just don't know. My grandfather from Texas, and that's all I know. And so to really to really let you guys in on me, learn a little bit about me, I got it. I'm from South Central Los Angeles or whatever. Grew up in that, you know, that environment, right? But listen, I'm more of a cowboy than you guys would probably think. You know what I mean? Hey, all the way. You know what? I would love to be a farmer now, but my family not gonna let me do that. You know, for one, I don't have time, and that means if I'm doing it, that means she's the one that's out there feeding the horses. You know, going to the hen house, getting the eggs, and all of that. Hey, and then look, you want to talk about being funny? So Nada went today to go get the food. Hey, and I'm gonna let the cat out the bag. If you guys want to know what I made today, this will probably be dropping tomorrow. So this is a long night for me. You know what I mean? I got to get this all edited. But anyway, I'm making southern crab beignets. And so, you know, you got to have your eggs. It's almost like crab cakes, but they're going to be in balls. Yeah. And they, you know, they deep fried. Okay, so anyway, make a long story short, Nada went to the store to go get the eggs, and she ran across the brown eggs. She called back and was like, hey, they got brown eggs. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, they got brown eggs. Get them. You know what I mean? She's like, well, what's in here? And then when Mitchie see it, she's like, hey, you cool with that? I was like, yeah, I'm cool with it. And hen eggs. You know what I mean? But listen, when you brought up in the city and that's all you know is that white egg, that's all you know. Sure. And then when they see the brown egg, check it out. They stand away from it. Yeah. They just they look at it like it's contagious. Hey, that's monkey. Get away from it. You know what I mean? Nah.
Yeah, I got chickens that lay blue eggs, green eggs, white eggs, brown eggs. I mean, but guess what's inside? An egg.
It's an egg. Hey,
oh my goodness.
Right.
It don't matter what's on the outside. It matters what's on the inside.
Right. This is true. This is true.
Hey, Stan, and that goes true for humans.
It's exactly what my point, Pat. That's exactly my point.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, well said. You're right. It's not what's on the outside. It's what's in the inside. Whether it's blue, black, green, or red.
I wanted to piggyback off of something you said about the watermelon and fried chicken and things like that. Mm-hmm. You know, for us down here, it's, you know, a stereotype for us, you know, that, oh, Black people love fried chicken, but everyone I know love fried chicken, you know.
Right.
But it was also, like you said, about when we gained our freedom, that's what we did to sell and, you know, different things like that. But it was also kind of to degrade us, like when that's around the time with the whole blackface and all those images. So it ties us with watermelon and fried chicken, and you know, all the history of that is pretty cool too. It's like, you know, I studied that here at home.
Right.
And
you know what's amazing, Steph, is that during that time, I don't think that the slaves and the ones that were that had just originally got free knew what they were creating. No. I mean, they created a cuisine of food that now is enjoyed by everybody.
Yes.
I mean, you go into a soul food restaurant in Memphis, and the majority of the people sitting in there eating, especially some of the popular ones, are whites.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's quite amazing that they were creating something that is universal, which is amazing, simply amazing.
Right. You know, absolutely. And that brings me to one of the things, like I only know like a few things that is amazing. Make me feel like I'm a history teacher because I got Nada and Mitchie, and they don't, you know, they're from a, you don't mind my saying anything about your culture, right? They from a Spanish culture, you know what I mean? So they don't understand a lot of stuff. So when I'm talking to them, and they, you know, you can see it on their face. They telling me, but I can see it on their face. It's They don't know. So then I ask them, do you want to know why? Then when I explain it, they just be like, man, you should have been my history teacher.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And both of them, I just love to see people light up when they learn something new. So that just bring me right into, first I'm gonna go in and talk about, hey, what's up, Natalie? Hey, these are like long-term subscribers that have been with me from like the beginning. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll let you go ahead.
Hi, Natalie.
Natalie, a lot of our food stems from slavery. Slaves ate what the massa didn't eat, what were deemed as scraps. Slaves had to eat too.
Right. You know, and again, for everybody that's in here, listen, we've had all kind of people leave comments. This is not I'm not like that. You know what I mean? History is just history. But, you know, for some people that just don't know, because I want to talk about Cajun, Creole, you know what I mean? It's like a thin line between, you know, either you on this side of the gate and that where the origins come from. I learned some things today just looking it up. But this is not into that about just, hey, we were slaves and nothing like that. This is just like real knowledge that we just sharing with everybody.
The only bad history is history that we do not learn from.
Yep.
Hey, you know
You
what?
better
Hey,
preach that, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? The reason I called him Doc, because when he was on the show, I find out this man studied in the medical field and was going to become a doctor. You know what I mean? But it makes so much sense the way he
Wow.
talks. And for me, I shoot from the hip, which got me in trouble throughout the years. You know what I mean? Because I done said some things. You know what I mean? I wish I would have thought about them. You know what I mean? Before I said them. But listen, this man, you know, he just speaks. And what you just said, I got a feeling I'm gonna be saying this a lot tonight, Stan. That was very, very well said.
Thank
you. You know,
it was. You're right. It was, and you know, it's history is history. Some is good, some is bad, but it's still our damn history. I mean, it's and if it goes back generations, you know, it's still our history, and we got history, and we'll be a part of history books. You know, my grandchildren, great grandchildren, I'm going to be their history. So it needs to be put out there, and a lot of my food knowledge literally came from my grandparents. And my last cookbook that I wrote was really based on the history of my food background. And so I spoke a lot about my grandparents. And what was amazing, and you guys will get a kick out of this, was the fact that their parents or either grandparents were slaves. And they grew up in what we call the country. And then they migrated to the city. It's quite amazing because I moved back to the country. I mean, I don't want no part of the big city. I love, you know, the rural area and all of the farmland and all of that. But they was so desperate to get out of the country that they moved to cities and neighborhoods. When I was a kid, they lived in neighborhoods. But guess what's the trip? You could not get them out of their history because both of my grandmothers had gardens in their backyards in the city. And they weren't big gardens, but you know, my grandmother on my father's side, she had her collard greens and her okra, and it was a small little garden, but she'd go out there in her house coat and she'd be bent over and she couldn't lose it. And then on the other side, my grandmother on my mother's side was the same way. She had mustard greens and things out there that they picked. So, you know, as a kid, I just felt grandmama got a garden. But then as I've gotten older and I started doing research and I started learning, it was like they grew up with that. And it was amazing that even when they came to the city, they couldn't lose that history and that heritage that they had. You know, they still had to have a few chickens. It was a lady across the street from my grandmother, tripped me out because I was born in Detroit. And then as a young kid, we moved back to Memphis. She had chickens out in there. It was a neighborhood. And there'd be little chickens out there, you know, and now as a grown man, I'm like, you know, some days I go out there, look out there, it'd be 8. The next day I go out there, it'd be 3. What the hell happened to the other chickens, you know? You know, when we
you'll know tonight.
I know
you'll know tonight. Yeah, you'll know tonight.
Quite amazing, quite incredible.
Now look, I've done all of that. I've done that. I didn't wring the chicken neck. I didn't done it all. I didn't have my grandfather like throw the chicken at me. You know what I mean? When he, you know, spewing a little blood out of his head after he wring the neck and take the head off. You know what I mean? My grandfather. But you know, hey, that's the way I was raised, and it's a different culture now. You know what I mean?
Did he pluck the chicken? How did he get all the hair off of him?
The hair. The hair.
Well, whatever.
The feathers.
They got some feathers and shit on them.
Hey,
I've never seen that. My grandfather would take us to the country and we'd kill a hog and come back and then barbecue. But I never experienced it. So hair, feathers, whatever that furry stuff on it. How did he get it off? Because y'all don't cut it off. Do you pluck? I heard plucking chickens. Yeah. So you just stand there and pluck all of them off?
Yeah. That's how it works. Hey, while he warm, and then look, I did that while I was crying. You know what I mean? My grandfather told me, "Hey, man up." You know what I mean? It's just a different life. You know,
I want to touch on one thing Pat said that I think is easily overlooked. When he's talking about his grandmother and the city and the chickens and the garden, because that is a part of them. That's an extension of them.
Right.
As much as no matter where you put the person, they're always going to be who they are inside.
Right.
And
right.
it doesn't matter. You can put them, you can put them in a corner. You can put them on 1,000 acres. They are going to that's part of them. That's their heritage. That's who they are. And you could almost say that's part of their DNA. And that's what's passed on to the next person and the next person and the next person. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Well, and that's Stan, the reason why I wanted to write the cookbook. And I did a section on each one of my grandparents. You know, one talks about my grandfather and how he would smoke barbecue all night. Mm-hmm. And he had what he called a mop. And that mop was a broom where he dipped it in barbecue sauce and marinade, and he mopped the barbecue all night. And then what's really a trip is that my other grandfather built his own barbecue pit, which is much different from my other grandpa, and it was in the ground. It wasn't until years later that I understood where the first barbecue pits actually came from. But his was bricked on 3 sides, and there was dirt underneath. And that's where he put his coals and his wood. And, you know, I try to tell these stories because in today's time, I don't want the history of food to get lost.
No.
You know, my kids would never understand it. My daughter was here for Father's Day weekend, and she got I don't know if I told you this, all my doggone recipes. I mean, I don't know if she was thinking that, well, Daddy might not be here next year. And I was like, girl, I ain't going nowhere, but she wanted to get all my recipes. And so we cooked and grilled. I mean, Steph, for like 5 or 6 days. We made potato salad. We did brisket. We did pulled pork. We did ribs. We did chicken. I did my coleslaw. And she got her laptop sitting there as we doing it, documenting everything. And I felt good about it. I just told her, if you ever go into business and start selling this, your daddy want to cut. Because those are my recipes. I want to cut. But
right.
It was also very enlightening for her to understand how I grilled and I smoked, because it goes back to what you say, Stan. It's history. And she'll be telling her kids one day, I may not even be around, but she'll be telling them, and your grandpa used to do this and stand over here, and he didn't use no food processor when he made his slaw. He got a cutting board and a knife and took a head of cabbage and he chew, because, as time goes on, it's all food processors and things of that nature. So, and she wanted to use one. I said, we're not going to use one. And you better not go buy no damn vacuum packed cabbage and bring it in my house. We get whole heads of cabbage and we cut it.
Yeah. Hey, I know that personally. You know what I mean? Like, do I want to spend the money at the restaurant and have the manpower cut this down? Or do I want to just go ahead and buy the case already done? Just get it, make my dressing and go from there. Yeah.
Right.
I have a weird question to ask you.
Okay.
When you talked about removing the hair and the feathers off of the chicken, we used to have those electric burners, and growing up, my parents would make me take the little wing and like hold it against the electric part of the stove to burn all those excess feathers, and that was like the worst thing ever. Like, I hated it. Just the smell.
That sounds traumatic.
Just to make sure that there is no feathers, nothing, just a perfectly clean featherless chicken, like on those whole chicken wings. That is the worst. Instead of plucking them one by one.
So, Steph, what was it, like an open fire, and you would hold the chicken above it and burn them all? Or
you would have to stick it on it. You know the old school burners?
Yeah. You talking about the one with the spiral in the...
Yes. Yeah. And we would take it and hold it against it, and you can hear the poor thing like sizzling and the smell, and it's just like, oh my God, I'm never doing this to my kids.
So technically you was grilling. You was actually Steph, grilling the wing.
Was it a whole chicken or had y'all cut it?
The whole chicken, like the chicken wings, like the whole, instead of drumettes, for example, the whole wing thing, and hold it again.
So they had already cut the chicken into a wing, and then you would hold it and burn everything off.
Yeah, when
Well,
you
I
get
tell you.
home,
Mhm.
yeah, just kind of hold it against there to kind of burn everything off. And that was like the worst thing ever, to make sure there was 0 feathers on it. Torture.
Was you crying, Steph?
I didn't cry, but I wanted to vomit because I'm like, I'm never doing this to my kids. I'm never probably going to eat chicken in my life again. You know, in
Oh
those
my
moments,
God.
that's what you felt.
Right.
You know,
Oh
and
my God.
I think about this, telling people like, you know, it's a luxury just to go to the store. Like, it wasn't always like that. Even with my grandparents, they bought property out here, not too far from where I'm at right now. Like, I know my area where I'm at. For those of you guys that's listening down here, I remember when I was a kid coming out this way, coming out here to Paris, you know, Paris, California, and which is only probably like about 17 miles away from where I'm at right now. The freeway didn't even come out this way, but my grandfather did everything like on his property. You know what I mean? I've done things like we had a cow. I was told, it was my mama's cow. My mama, like me, she wanted everything, and then somebody else got to, do the work. You know what I mean? So that was, we had a cow. Her name was Sheba. And matter of fact, just to go to show you, when I tell you I'm country, people don't understand that. Like, I had the actual, I wanted to almost call it a pelt, but I had the skin on the wall. My mama had that in the living room. You know, she was black and white. Look, she almost looked like a dairy cow. You know what I mean? But she wasn't a dairy cow, but she was black and white, had that print. That was in our living room. I grew up with that kind of stuff. And most of the fights I had in my neighborhood, it came because my grandparents knew that I wanted cowboy boots. You want to talk about me letting y'all into my world right now? This is why I'm great from the waist up. I ain't gonna say I'm great. I used to be, you know what I mean? Just, it was just because I couldn't go back to my neighborhood. I didn't know. And then everybody made fun of me. Now I'm mad. Now I'm running up and down the street, in cowboy boots because I'm thinking I got something. But my neighborhood let me know, like, hey, homie, that's not welcome here. You know what I mean? Because that's what I know. You know what I mean? I shot that cow. You know what I mean? Being in my grandparents, I was in my grandparents' kitchen. You know what I mean? I didn't even know the butcher was coming to the house. My grandfather just told me, I had just woke up. You know what I mean? And I've been shooting a 22 since I've been a kid, 22 rifle.
Right.
My grandfather asked me, he said, can I handle, shooting, we finna take Sheba down and we finna get meat. I remember him, as I'm telling you guys this, I feel like I'm looking up at my grandfather because he kind of bent it down.
Oh my God.
But my grandfather was like this. I didn't have a lot of options. Like some people, kids, you tell them, hey, you want to go with me here? And you give them an option. I didn't grow up that way. My mother just told me, get my coat. And if I asked her where we was going, she looked back, didn't say nothing. And I just started getting my coat. So my grandfather asked me, was I good with the rifle? You know what I mean? And I'm about to shoot Sheba. I had a tear in my eye. Now, when I did shoot her, I was bawling. But my grandfather said, hey, this is just a part of how it works. You know what I mean? And then after I shot her, actually I was supposed to shoot her in the head. I shot her in the neck. Here's the part that killed me, y'all. Man, this is therapy for me. I shoot her in the neck. You know what she did? She turned and looked right in the kitchen. Hey, I can't write this. She looked right at me. My grandmother said, hey, he's too young. You know what I mean? My grandfather takes it, and shoots her. And then, the next memory I have is when the guy pulled up in the Bob, this little box truck. He tied her up by her legs and drug her up inside the back of the truck. And then later on that summer, he shows up with like all of this meat. You know what I mean?
My goodness.
That's just the way it works.
That's worse than Old Yeller.
Yes. You know what? Listen, it's things like that, man. You know what I mean? And hey, it build character. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's my history.
And it's a part of history. Exactly what I was getting ready to say. I mean, that's what they did. Amazingly enough, I have a lot of wildlife on my property, tons of deer, and some of my in-laws come back. Boy, you ought to let me come and get me somebody. You can get whatever you want. I don't hardly ever fool with the deer, but I have every so often I'll see about 6 or 7 wild turkey, and they're huge.
Yes.
And I make a joke about them. They're skimmish, but when I see them and they see me and they come up near the patio, and when I come out, they take off running. They say, that's that barbecue man. We better get our ass out of here because he got plans for us. We can't hang out here. But it's quite amazing that our grandparents that they lived off of that. AB. The cows and the chickens and the pigs, that's how they ate. It wasn't, and a lot of them didn't, way back when, didn't even have slaughterhouses. They had to cut them open and clean them. I mean, my dad was a big hunter, and he hunted rabbit. But my mother was so modernized, he better not bring those rabbit in there and ask her to cook them. And he sold insurance. And so when he would have all these rabbits, and he went back in the day, we're talking the 70s, he went to his client's house, he would give them to them. And a lot of times they would be so over the moon that they would eat, and they would take them and skin them. But then my grandfather, who was his father-in-law, they would hunt together. And when we start really talking about food, when we think about breakfast, we think about bacon, eggs, sausage, grits. But that generation, my grandparents, what they ate for breakfast was rice, rabbit, gravy. And my grandfather, I once ate rabbit, and he fried it, and it was pretty damn good. I mean, I was a kid, and I ate it.
Hey, let me ask you this. Did they tell you it tastes like chicken? Because anytime somebody want me to eat anything else, everybody
tastes like chicken. Eat it. It tastes like chicken.
Tastes like chicken. Hey, you like chicken? Yeah, you're going to love this alligator. You're going to love this frog leg. It tastes like chicken.
But he cleaned them and everything, and cleaned those rabbit. I remember him pulling that skin off, and then they would bag them and clean them, and they'd freeze them. And then for breakfast, he would get up and you could smell it. He was frying it in a cast iron skillet, and then my grandmother would have rice and biscuits. And I got these little old grand ass kids of mine now. You better not put no rice and rabbit in front of them for breakfast. They just so starved to death. But that's that's how they ate. I mean, that's what those were the choices that they had. And bacon was like a grand breakfast, if you got a chance to have some bacon. But it was the rabbit, and they ate chicken in the morning. And it amazes me. Like, they ate fried chicken for breakfast.
Yep, substantial food.
Right, with rice. Rice was big. Now it's grits and oatmeal, and we got granola and
wait
and all of that.
What is it called? What's the other name for everybody? You substitute it for grits. What is it called? Help me out, you guys. Is it polenta, or something like that? You know what I mean? Now they got all kinds of things.
Yeah. I don't know, AB, but if I go in a restaurant and see it on the menu, I'm gonna be asking what the hell is it? It's got to be grits.
Right. Hey, we could do a whole show on that, because everybody divided on the grits. Some people like them with that salt and pepper, that butter, and then some people like them with that, like them sweet. I've been telling many times, like, hey, I'm making cereal over here, but I like that sugar.
I mean, I got to put a little sugar and butter in my grits. Now, my wife, and my wife is, she's from this area. You better not put no sugar in her grits.
Yeah.
I mean, what you doing with my grits? She just want butter. But I'll tell you something else that I do that she loves is I put cheddar cheese in them.
Oh yes,
and make cheese grits with butter. But it's quite amazing how food has evolved. Well, I think where it really comes from.
I think going back, I think Stephanie had said something that kind of got overlooked, which I think is accurate. When you're talking about the chicken and the rice, she said it's a sustaining food. It's substantial, all those carbohydrates and things, because they knew what they had to do through that whole day. They didn't start.
Hard work.
That if the sun's coming up, you're late. Yeah, and it was from sun up to sundown, literally. So they had to have that fuel to sustain throughout the entire day.
Wow!
So they could get the job done.
Yep, no lunch breaks. Just keep working.
Right.
I never thought about that. I never thought about that. But you're right.
Nor have I. But look, I just want to say this part again for everybody that's hanging in here and listening to the the podcast. Again, this is not just like no history lesson as far as talking about slavery and nothing like that, but a lot of the origins and a lot of the food that we get, it come from that. I'm gonna bring some things up here, but I want to start answering some of these comments because I can see it's getting longer and longer. Dana Walker just put one on here. Go ahead and read that one.
She says, we were poor. I remember eating chicken, tripe, chitlins, and eating possum.
You know what? When I read the word possum, that's why I keep telling Mitchie, because Mitchie be looking at it. If you don't get to that comment, she's ready to roll on to the next one. But I keep doing it. You guys don't see it, but I'm like, hey, don't get off of that one. You know what I mean? Just talking about the possum and all of that. I'm gonna bring this up to like in the last. I started my YouTube channel 5 years ago, so this would have been 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago. I was on a job in Maryland, and listen, we building a power plant, right? So we got like a water retention ponds in the inside of there, for the steam unit. So by the time I had gotten there, I guess a couple of beavers moved in, a pair of beavers moved in, and then we got the environmental people there, you know what I mean, and they know, so we had to like quarantine that off because they had a baby beaver. You know how many people came up to me and was like, "AB, bruh, you don't mind if we go over there and get that beaver?" I said, "Get the beaver." I said, and I'm being honest with y'all. The blacks was coming to me, so I'm saying, "You want to get the beaver and do what?" Because in my mind, I'm gonna be honest with you, the beaver. What I know about a beaver is everything I've seen on TV, and I've seen him at the zoo. I've seen him at the zoo. So now
they build dams.
Right? They build dams. So I'm looking at this big mammal. I mean, to me he looked like a rat with a flat tail.
Right.
But he telling me he want to get it and eat it. He want to trap it. Can he put a trap there and eat it? So now I'm looking at this dude for a long time, just like I couldn't process that. I'm like, you want to eat a beaver? I'm like, hey, bro, you okay? He's like, hey, man, that's what we do down here. He's not from there, but you know what I did? We brought people from all over the country to come in to build America. From Native Americans to blacks, coon, everybody come there. If you got a trade, you come there and you do your job and you work, you get paid well, and you move on. So you got people coming from all different walks of life. And even my family had never said, AB, we finna eat this. You know what I mean? If you told me beaver, I probably wouldn't have ate nothing at my great grandmama's house ever again. You know what I mean?
I like Dana is talking about possum. I just can't do no possum. And maybe if I didn't see him alive,
right.
If somebody just put him on a plate after it was cooked and everything, I might say, oh, that's pretty damn good. But just to see it, and then what is tripe? Do anybody know what tripe is?
And I've heard of it several times too.
I want to say my dad and them eat that. I think it's like the lining of the stomach, correct?
Oh my
That might
goodness.
be. You know what? Don't Spanish people?
My dad eats that.
Yeah, I believe isn't that what they
just tell me what it is.
Menudo?
Oh, that's what it is. The edible lining of a stomach of a cow.
Yeah. That's really popular around here. That and eating squirrels with barbecue sauce.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Hey,
squirrels.
Go, you know what?
Squirrels are good.
Squirrel, I mean, and I got it. Listen, I am who I am. You know what I mean? I'm already out here on the edge doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Eating all of this stuff to come out of the sea. You know what I mean? And I'm good with that, but I draw a line in the sand somewhere, and I'm sure it's good. You know what I mean? I remember I wouldn't want to eat no alligator, but now I can't stay away from the alligator bites.
Really?
You ain't never had alligator bites, folks?
I have not.
Oh, man, it's hard, bro.
Yeah.
But you know what my father used to, because they were big hunters, they would shoot quail.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it was a certain time of year, Stan, like it wasn't dead winter. If I can recall, it seemed like it was either early spring or late fall. Mm-hmm. And it was a trip like you would be in a big pasture, mm-hmm. and they would walk up on them and the quail would take off out. They would shoot. And then my father and my grandfather would shoot up in the air and shoot quail. And I was always like, well, you need to shoot about 200 of those damn things because they're so little. You know what I mean? But it's and we have is this Herschel Pargo talking about raccoon?
Yeah.
I mean, and people used to, they would hunt them. If I see a raccoon around my trash, I'm taking that 12 gauge and blowing his ass up. And I don't want to eat it. I just don't want him turning my garbage over.
I think when a lot of people they'll hear like armadillo is a really good meat.
Really?
Coon, beaver, whatever. I think that the reason that people kind of like have an adverse effect when they hear it or kind of like question it or like I wouldn't eat it, because here in America we're spoiled, meaning that right now we have a choice. I bet that if we did not have a choice and we were hungry enough, that would be like a ribeye steak on the grill.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what? I agree with you, Stan.
And I'll say this, Stan. I'll say this real quick, AB. Some of those, like possum, raccoon, they became a pest. You know what I mean? Like they got such a bad name, especially raccoon. Right. You think about it, you say, well, they got rabies and they got this and that. They're getting in the trash and, you know, this and that. And so they became such a pest that you say, well, how dare I eat that? But like you say, you make a good point. Back in the day, man, it was anything that was a flesh that you could take and season and throw over open flame and make a good meal, because oftentimes, you know, sometimes I'm sure the only thing they had was vegetables that was grown out of the ground. And so you couldn't get cows or pigs unless you had this amazing farm and you grew them and had money. Absolutely. So, you know, people out in the woods, and I'm shopping, I'm going, like we go to Kroger's or the grocery store, they went in the woods and shopped for dinner.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Hey, you know what, to put in perspective, what you were talking about, like, you know, the different meats, and, you know, people would, like, if the world took if the government went away, we go back to the Stone Age. Sure. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are not going to make it because they're going to look at that squirrel and be like, I'm not finna eat that. I promise you, when you get that bean in your stomach, you know what I mean, and it's burning, or when you look at your kids, you know what I mean, and they looking up at you like them birds in that nest, and mama ain't got nothing in there, you know, all that crime and all that. You're gonna feed them something. But look, let me just keep it real simple like this, folks. It's really where your soul land on this planet. You know what I mean? Because like if you from down south, you know, you ate possum, you know, that kind of stuff, right? You born out here on the West Coast, you ate everything that came out of Boys Market, you know, but this is what you know. Now, if you're born in, I don't know what country it is, but I don't want to know. I don't want to say it's India. I'm not really sure it is, but one of those Hindu type countries, they don't eat the cow. You know what I mean? Now we love cow, right? We all do the beef, but over there, the cow walk the street. Right. You know what I mean? He walking up down the street and you stop your vehicle because he's sacred. So it really go back wherever you live at and what they do. Like some people eat crickets. You know what I mean? And, you know, you know what I mean? And I got it. So I understand when you said, you know, like maybe we were talking about like being spoiled. You ain't really, I understand what you were trying to say. It's just like, it depends on where your soul end up coming out at. And you are a product of your environment. You know what I mean?
And you know what, AB, food, you hitting on a good point. It's so regional.
Yes.
And it's about what was accessible. And it's about what you prepared that your palate became accustomed to. I spent about a month in Singapore several years ago, and I learned something quite amazing about pigs, because they are really big on pigs, and pigs over there is like a huge delicatessen. And what I learned was that there was a side of the pig that was really high priced. And I said, well, why? And they said, because the pigs lay on that side. Consequently, it becomes more tender when it's slaughtered. And I was like, really? And so then we had a chance to eat some. And I was like, oh my God, it's just absolutely delicious. And then also in Singapore, they are big on stingray. And so I had never seen a stingray live. I had never eaten one. And they said, we're going to cook you one. And so they took this big stingray. I mean, it's huge. And the tail dragged all the way out to the ground. And they took a homemade grill that was in the ground with coals underneath. And they took these huge butterfly banana leaves and laid it across the grill. And then they put the stingray on. And they put the stingray on top, but they butterflied it, which means they cut it open and they flapped it open. And when I tell y'all, it was one of the most meatiest fish. And they made a really hot sauce and put in the center to add the flavor to it. And we all sat around this big table and we just ate off of it. But when I tell you, it was so meaty. Like we think bass and catfish. This stingray was absolutely delicious. So what I learned in some of my travels and stuff is that it's cultural. You know, they probably been doing that for, you know, generations.
Yeah.
Right.
But when you come to the United States, you know, stingray. You know, all I know is if I see a stingray in the ocean, I'm getting my ass out of there. That's all we know about it. But people really,
hey, you know, Stingray got a bad.
Countries.
You know, Stingray got a bad rep after what happened to that guy. Remember
Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
You can't even duplicate how he passed again. You know what killed him. You couldn't do that. We couldn't make that happen in the bottle. You know what I mean? But that gave the Stingray like a bad name. Hey, look, I want to go ahead and get to this comment right here because that's one of the ones that I had known. Go ahead, Mitchie.
Yes, Barbie Williams says a lot of those foods that were usually discarded are the most expensive, like oxtail.
Right. And then to be really, really honest and just to be brutal, it's still people today that don't even know what oxtail is. Well, they think because there is a mammal called ox. There is an ox. And in the beginning, I thought that ugly thing, I thought that was his tail. You know what I mean? Then my grandfather had to talk to me and just like, hey.
Right.
I almost want to say, did he swing at me? You know, for saying something crazy like that, like pop in my mouth. Like, hey, what? He's like, man.
But AB, I want you to tell folks what is oxtail because the average person out thinks it comes from an ox.
Right.
Why wouldn't you? It said oxtail.
Right, it says ox. I don't know where that name came from or how it come, but if you guys didn't know, look, oxtail is the tail of a cow. And if you look at it, now that I've told you that, if you just look at it, the base of it is big. That'll be connected right to his head. And then as it get longer and longer, you ever want to know why you buy the oxtails? It gets smaller and smaller because you're getting more, pushed towards the tail. And then my grandfather told me this, like when he was coming up, the butcher would just know him because he, back in the day, it was butcher shops everywhere. That's the way he explained it to me. You know what I mean? Everybody was butchering meat. So, you know what I mean? Everybody trying to get a little business. So what the butcher used to throw away in the trash and just discard, just people had learned to cook it. You know what I mean? So my grandfather told me, like, if your butcher was cool with you, he liked your family, he know you spending your money with him, he'd save that and give it to you.
It was scrap.
Right.
And now it's so damn expensive when you go to the store.
Yeah.
Right.
Quite amazing. It's quite amazing. And I think it has a lot to do with supply and demand. When you cook oxtail and you braise it in a Dutch oven and add you some red wine and some vegetables and all of that, and then cook it, boy, let me tell you something. It becomes a really, really good meal. And so now it's expensive. And it's it's amazing. It's like wings now. Same thing. And I think what happens is, things that were so cheap and that was throwaway has become so expensive. I'll give you this, and we can come back to it, AB, but I want to touch on it. It's chitlins.
Okay.
There's a southern restaurant in Atlanta, Georgia, that they sell so many chitlins.
But you got to hear this, Pat. I ain't gonna cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I was looking at Nada when you said chitlins, right? I wanted to ask her, like, hey, do we got the cricket sound? Yeah, you know what I mean? Because I want to make cricket sound effect. Hey, listen, I done a lot of things, Pat. You know what I mean? And, even when my grandmother would I spent a lot of time with my grandparents on the weekends, at work. And then my mama wanted to turn up too. I ain't gonna lie to you. I get my spirit from my mama. My mama say, hey, it's grown up time. Go to your grannies. You know what I mean? So when I get over there and I can smell them, you know what I mean?
Oh, God Almighty.
All of that. I have never, ever, hey, I'm gonna let the cat out the bag. I have never, ever tasted chitlin. You know what I mean? That's almost like when you talked about the guy in the beginning, giving them give you a bath. That run along them lines. Like, hey, that right there.
But here's the thing, AB. You and I are real close in the same age. And there's a reason why we click so well because we have so much in common. I've never eaten chitlins. Never. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. Same reason that you say. I go into my grandmama's house and it'd be lit up and she'd have a whole pot of them. And they would, when they ate them, they put hot sauce and all of that on. But because of the smell, I just couldn't eat them. And then as I got older and realized what they really were, then I said, "Oh hell no, I really don't."
Put the exclamation point on it.
Yeah, I really don't want them.
Hey, look, all them years before you knew what they were, all them years it was working on you, and you was getting softer. You was like, okay, eventually one day I'm gonna try
hot sauce on them. I might try.
Yeah, maybe.
But then when I found out,
but once you find out what it is, you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna put this kitchen table over. I'm not eating it."
And then there's so many other parts of the damn. Pig I can eat. Y'all keep that.
It's very gross. Like a lot of people here, they cook them outside because the smell is just god awful. And some people eat it on bread because like you have to like clean them and turn them inside out and wash them. And I tried it only once. It was not my favorite.
But you know what?
They say that's why they only cook it like once a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they look a little like noodles.
Yeah,
you know, and
squishy.
But here's the thing that's so amazing. There's a chain of an African American restaurants in Atlanta, and they sell by the 5-gallon buckets of them during Thanksgiving. He said, "Pat, I can't hardly keep up," and he says they are quite expensive now because he sells so many. So, the Atlanta community, they just go and they just buy them. And I'm trying to remember whether, I think they already cooked. So they cook all of them in their restaurants and people buy them for the holidays. And, it's quite amazing, but I've just never been one to have the bravery to,
there's a couple of
good questions here.
Questions there. Cynthia, she just said, "Please explain why chitlins." Oh,
yes. Cynthia Pina says, "Please explain chitlins and why they are loved so much when they smell so bad."
And then the last comment just asked what they taste like. You already heard me say that. I don't know. I've never had them. Pat never had them. What about you, Stan? Have you had chitlins?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so maybe you can
educate us, Sam.
Talk to us and tell us what it tastes like.
Actually, the chitlins all started in England in about 1773 when they were written in a cookbook called I forget the name of the cookbook, but they were called the poorest choice of poor food. And there was they love literature over in England, and it was something along the line in a book says that he says, "Are you hungry? Yes, I will have pork, please. But if I cannot have pork, then I shall have the bacon. But if I cannot have the bacon, then a chitlin will do." Meaning that it's the very last of the last choice. They're actually known. The correct terminology is chitlings, as the lady who asked the question earlier spelt it correctly, and of course we have vulgarized it down to chitlin, as good Americans do.
Right.
But in order to mitigate the stench from cooking, they would take them and stuff onions inside of the chitlin to help try to mitigate the smell of the cooking. Now, I said mitigate, not to
eliminate,
not to alleviate.
Yeah.
To mitigate, what I mean, just to manage.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they would, and actually, the chitlin is worldwide. It's in India, Russia, Afghanistan.
Wow.
It's on every continent. But there's different ways you can fry them, stew them, boil them, and they really are flavorless. What you can't get over, though, the flavor, and that smell and taste are completely connected. So
yes.
So you taste them the way that you smell them, and the texture. And if you have a texture issue when you eat, you don't want to eat them boiled. That's why they're usually accompanied with a, shall we say, an overpowering amount of hot sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. Look, this Facebook user just. Do you see that comment right there? I've heard that several times.
He educated me, because I would have swore that chitlins came from, the plantations, and it was the leftover scraps
Well, that's the way. That's the way I'm told it.
That's what I would have thought. But you're telling me England.
Well, remember, I said that it originated in 1773, which is well before slavery, from England. And of course, we that's about the time that we would have colonized America, and before we started shipping over the slaves from Africa. And since it was the poorest choice of poor foods, it stands to reason that the slaves would be, unfortunately, the recipients of such a quote unquote delicacy.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what? I can find something that's a little bit more modern that most people that run along that. I guess I would think like gumbo, all that shrimp and all that. Stuff that comes in abundance. And I don't know if you guys ever been down south and you want to know to have a crab boil. You want to know why they keep whoever these content creators that are making these food videos keep doing seafood boils. They probably down south. You know what I mean? Because you can walk right down there and get it. They like roaches. I mean, you just get so much shrimp, lobster, all that stuff is just it's everywhere, and they competing. Just trying to just trying to make a sale. But yet when I go there and I made the gumbo, that gumbo I had, I'll let the cat out the bag. That was a $300 and some dollar. Hey, I'm gonna say $300 and some dollar. You know what I mean? Because it's just so expensive. I'm glad they didn't have no snow crab. You know what I mean? Because after you put king crab in, and gooey sausage, you get all your fresh veggies and all of that. Start adding up. Then I did 2 different types of shrimp. You know what I mean? You got to pay for that shrimp to get on that boat. I mean, you got to get on, for it to get in that truck. And then if you really buying that good shrimp, that mean they brought it in. They flew it over here.
Yeah. Right.
And you know what? Just saying that, just even thinking about just the logistics and the getting everything. Like now, everybody knows that I moved to Vegas, right? When I think about this, when I'm driving to Vegas, I look at all of these trucks. Vegas is a desert, folks. If you guys didn't know that, places, you know what I mean? So everything has to be trucked in. I used to own a trucking company. The only thing I could ever get to come out of Vegas is drywall. You know what I mean? Just to pay for fuel to get it to go somewhere to pick up a load. But I'm gonna let you guys know that everything goes in. So when you get fresh fish, some of them containers you see, that got live fish, live salmon. They shipping it in like that.
Really?
I mean, yeah. That's
so it comes in water and it's live.
Oh yeah. Some of it does. A good portion of it does.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Hey, then listen. I learned this from television watching Dirty Jobs. You guys remember that show, Dirty Jobs, on Discovery Channel?
Yeah.
Do you know that all of the waste of the food? So listen, when you got something like that, and they shipping in millions of people into Vegas. When I did a census to find out how many people live in Vegas, I didn't know Vegas was as small as it is. I saw it as of 2019, it was only 700 some thousand. It's probably like about 1 million people that live there, but they bringing in 5-6 million people a year just coming there for these seminars and all that. Those people got to eat. So listen, all the excess food and all of that goes to a pig farm that's a little bit of ways from there. They got a giant pig farm. Most of the pork come from that place. So when I was listening to the dude, he says that when he's going through this, look, they boil the food and all that kind of stuff because we all heard pigs like to slop, right? But they looking for the pork to come up on the top because they don't want to feed the pig pork. You know what I'm saying? I got it. You don't want to feed him himself. You don't want to turn him into a cannibal. I don't know. I mean, it don't even sound right. You know what I mean? So they taking that out on the ground. But everything that you eat that go to waste, all of that extra food, all that, it go back. You know what I mean? Hey, just the logistics and how to feed people is amazing. You know what I mean? It's just we got it so easy, folks. You know what I mean? And people used to tease me when I was on that road. They like, hey, bro, what you gonna do? The main conversation when I'm on the road is like, hey, the world is gonna turn upside down. And they ask me, they like, hey, you out there in California, homie, you don't even know how to hunt. I tell them, I said, man, I'm probably more prepared than you are, bro. You know what I mean? That's just like a stereotype, you know?
And here's the thing, AB, circumstances, humans are survivors. So, based on circumstances, you will adjust. If we had to go back, trust me, we would go back. If I had to, there was no grocery stores and all that, all these deer running on my property and living good and all of that, they'd be on that stove. If I had to, I mean, and that's what, the history is all about. Back in the day, they had wood burning stoves and there was no grocery stores and they were living in rural areas. So they ate off the land. And quite frankly, I'm kind of learning that now about even my garden. So this year I decided to plant things that we actually eat, especially with the cost and everything. My little old, I call them privileged kids. They every morning want blueberries and strawberries. My daughter is 4. Daddy, she come in there, Daddy, I'll have some strawberries and blueberries and a Pop-Tart.
Right.
Girl, I mean, I had cornflakes and I was lucky if it was some milk in there. And if it was, my big brothers had gotten most of it, so I had to mix that with some water. So I decided to
People don't know that.
Strawberries and blueberries because I can go out there and pick them. When we do a salad, my son, who's 9, he loves salad. He eats salad every day. So I grew this year romaine lettuce and Bibb lettuce. And last year, being a city boy, I didn't understand how to harvest. So I thought that when you got, and Stan, you'll get a kick out of this, when you grow a romaine lettuce, you go and cut it at the bottom like you do at the store. Like you get in the store with a whole deal of lettuce.
You don't?
And I was like, no, because what happens is it doesn't grow again. So after doing research, I learned you pull leaves off and leave the inner part there, and then it keeps growing. I am on, guys, listen, I'm on my 4th harvest this summer alone on collard greens.
Yeah.
I've gotten 4 harvests already, and they need to be picked now, because what I do, AB, is when I see the leaves get really big, I just go and pull off the bottom, and you keep the main structure in place, and then you get this long stem, and they just keep growing. I mean, the greens are growing like crazy, and you do the same for lettuce. So if I was gonna make a salad tonight, I would just go out and pick the bottom leaves off. I got some cherry tomatoes over there. I get some of those. I got cucumbers, and I grab me a couple of cucumbers, although I've got plenty of those in the refrigerator. And boom, bam, I've got my salad. The only thing I don't have is carrots. Now I'm growing sweet potatoes, which won't be ready until October. But here's the other thing I learned as a farmer. Your greens should be really prepared and harvested in the winter. I didn't know that, Stan. And so, they were wiltering, and thank God I got the tripod with the sprinkler that's keeping them, and the reason why they're growing. But then when I started doing my research, I learned that your lettuces, your greens, your cabbage, your Swiss chard, I'm growing Swiss chard, plant all of that in October. And because I'm in Georgia, it will never get too cold, and you can harvest it all winter. So this winter, I'm going to keep my garden going. Last year, I pulled everything up and then tilled it all up and fertilized it. But this year, I'm going to keep growing collard greens, romaine lettuce, Bibb lettuce, cabbage, Swiss chard, because they do better in the winter months. So when you think about generations ago, they were farming year round.
Right.
They may have had their beans and all of the other stuff growing in the summer months, tomatoes and corn and all of that. But then in the winter months, it was their greens and stuff. And then my grandfather, they would can stuff and put it in the basement during the winter months so they would have food year round. So he had a garden, and he would pull all that stuff off, and then my grandmother and them, they would can like cucumbers and tomatoes and make tomato sauce and all of that stuff. And you go down in their basement, they just had jars and jars of stuff. It's quite amazing. We take for granted just being able to go to the grocery store and buy stuff when, a few generations ago, they just had a little store where they went and got flour and rice and different things like that. But the basic stuff like meats and vegetables, no, all of that happened on their property. All of it happened on their property.
Right.
AB, I wanted to answer the previous comment when they asked what chitlins taste like. Mm-hmm. Prepared so many different ways, like Stan said, but to me, it tastes like boiled meat. And I'm not sure if you all are familiar with hog moss. Like down here, that's like a big thing. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I heard of it.
Hog moss.
Yes.
It kind of goes in the same family. Yeah, so that's big here too. But to me, it's like rubbery and squishy. And I just think it's terrible personally. But, I grew up a little sheltered, so my mom did us a lot of stuff like that. Huh?
Okay.
Hog jaws?
Maws, like
hog maw.
MAWS.
Oh, they said hog
Like
jowl.
stomach.
No.
No,
Oh.
I'm probably not saying it. That's
Hog
hog
maw.
maws.
Hog maw.
Hog maw.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, girl. Hog
I just
maw.
couldn't hear. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, look,
So
for Wiggins, she say pet milk water on cornflakes. Hey, when you talk about, you know what? I ain't gonna lie. I never had the experience that. You know what I mean? I thought it was strange that my brother's father, his parents came out here, and she wanted to have some cornflakes, and she, you know, my mama gave her the milk, and she was like, "Oh no, I don't do milk." I think she might have been lactose intolerant, but she put orange juice in there.
Oh.
But orange juice is expensive though now anyway. You know what I mean? But if you talking about keeping it cheap, like some of that canned milk, you know what I mean, a little water to thin it out, you know what I mean, that's yours. You know, that'll be your
AB,
milk.
when I go into a grocery store now and I see a box of cornflakes, I kick them. Look, it was 6 of us, and a lot of people know the story. My father died when he was 40 and my mom was 39. It was 6 of us, and my mom was trying to figure out how to keep us all fed and stuff. And the cheapest cereal that you could buy was cornflakes. And I always wanted sugar on them, and sometimes we had it, sometimes we didn't. But with 5 older brothers or 4 older brothers, a lot of times they would drink up all the milk. So you go in there and then you got to eat them. You got to water it down, and you ain't got no sugar. And but you eating it because you got to put some on your stomach. So now that's the last cereal. I mean, now it's Frosted Flakes, it's Raisin Brans. The kids got their fruit cereals and all of that. And
Hey,
I
listen to
keep
this.
plenty of damn milk in the refrigerator.
Your mama didn't send none of them kids down there to Costco so you can get them 2 gallons for that cheap price. You know what I mean? Hey, everybody doing that now, ain't they? Talk to me. Hey, keep it real. You know we buying that milk. We put one in the freezer. You know what I mean?
I'll be 58 this coming Saturday. When I was growing up, wasn't no damn Costco and Sam's.
Oh, I know that, man. Hey, I know that. Hey, I remember when the Price Club. Hey, if anybody want to get down, you from the LA area,
right?
You know about the Price Club.
Costco bought all of them. It was Giants, and it was those neighborhood stores and Food Right, and you know them neighborhood stores, and we penny pinching around here, but it was what it was. And you know what? Here's what I always tell people: we never thought we were poor.
That's the thing.
We you know, it was natural. And we ate it, and we enjoyed it. And you know, my mother was very creative as a cook when she made chili and stew. And I don't know if you guys remember, she made roast. The next day it became hash. And when she made chili, she put white rice in the bottom of the bowl and put some chili on top, and then some cheese, because that stretched that damn bowl of chili. And people think I'm crazy when I make chili now. My wife does. Why you got rice in the bottom of it? I said, cause that's the way my mama made it. But she had to stretch that pot of chili for 5 hungry boys and stuff. So she put rice in the bottom of it to kind of stretch it. So, you know, and listen, growing up, I thought I had a pretty good childhood. And my mother did an amazing job. And I didn't think that I was I had less. I just thought that this is the way life is. And it goes back to even a couple of generations ago, we started talking about people living off the land and all of that. They didn't know any better. This was good living when you went out and you got 4 possums and skinned them and cooked them and fried them, and they had that good dinner. Mama, this is good possum. You know, this is Christmas dinner.
You never know you're poor. You never know you're worthless. You never know you're meaningless until someone tells you.
Yeah.
You know? And so,
macaroni and tomatoes.
Hey, them last 2 things you said though, them last 2 things, I disagree with. I mean, not that you don't know. I don't know that should be even be in the category, you know, your vocabulary, because I don't think nobody worthless.
That's what I'm
like
saying.
that. Like you just don't know you poor. And then the fact that we didn't have internet and all of that. So I remember when I was a kid, I sat down and I ate with my mama.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you eating with your family and everybody belly, you eating some hot food, it's tasting great. No matter if it was rooster or alligator or whatever it is, you with your family, you know what I mean? And that just elevates the taste of it all too. But I don't never use. I don't know why I even got that much testosterone listening to it. I know that's not what you meant, man, but that just like struck a chord.
No,
I just
what I'm
don't
saying
think
is,
nobody, no matter how poor you are, you with your family, you know what I mean? And if we all got to live in this cardboard box, then so be it. But
right.
you might not have the J's on, you know what I mean? But you know, this is what mama got. You know, you just happy, you know?
That's what I'm saying. You can't let other people influence.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
well, my point is, you know, when I look at my kids now, and I think back to when I was a kid, that's when I really realized, first of all, how fortunate my kids are, and what I tell my kids, and I got 2 grown daughters. I said, y'all some privileged ass kids. I mean, you can't even imagine,
Right.
you know, the lifestyle I live. And I didn't realize it as a kid, and I'm grateful for everything that I had and everywhere I grew up, because that molded me to the person and the man that I am today.
Mm-hmm.
But I also recognize how privileged our kids are now, that when they wake up and go open that refrigerator, there's butter, there's milk, there's they have all of these things, and they may one day be telling their kids, well, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't have this or I didn't have that. Look what you got, you know, and that's about generations. But by no means, you know, I think my mama was the biggest queen that ever lived, because she survived, and she came home and she put that house coat on and she put some on the stove for us, and we were well loved and had a beautiful home life. And so I don't look back, and you know what? I wouldn't change not one damn thing about it. Nothing about it.
What you saying is, listen, man, this is what just ran through my mind right now.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna set this up for everybody, because everybody watching Instagram and TikTok. When you said it several times, the house coat has come up. That's how I remember my great grandmama always wearing a house coat.
Yeah.
I don't know her. Hey, just being real with you, I don't know her no other way. You know, my great grandmother, she only got really dressed when she went to work.
Let me ask you this. Steph is probably much younger than us. Steph, do you know what a house coat is?
Yes.
Oh, you do know? Okay.
See, like we didn't, like my mom and grandma, like they wore like house dresses. It wasn't really the coat. It was, you had that dress that you wore every day around the house and stuff like that.
But Steph, that's it. And the reason why I bring that up, because we got a lot of people that are listening and all of that. They need to understand, because a lot of them don't understand. Your mama walked around with a coat on all day? No. It was like that dress with them flowers on, and they wore it all day. That was one they put on. They had 2 or 3
almost like a movie.
This big old long dress. And it buttoned up, whatever. But we called them house coats.
Yeah, those and the slippers.
They really were big. They were the big dresses.
Yeah,
you know, the big dresses that they wore all day long. You know, the comfortable dresses to do the housework.
I got you beat on
all of that.
My G-Mom. Well, this is my great granny. She didn't have it wasn't no dress. It was like it wasn't as thick as a robe is, but it buttoned all the way up.
Yeah.
She probably had a gown underneath that. Yeah. And I'm gonna just tell you, like, hey, they old school.
Yeah. It was cotton.
I could call my grandmama Big Mama. You know what I mean? Don't wear no bra. You know what I mean? Just like, hey, it's the weekend, and I'm in here in this kitchen. You know what I mean? And hey, this is how she got out. You know what I mean?
You know what?
This is what I wanted to set up so everybody can look. You want to talk about how the generation is changing. So everybody on TikTok and Instagram, right? I was just watching, and I'm guilty of it, because I was watching a daughter and a mama doing today's challenge and looking great. I mean, mama was moving better than the daughter, but I got that. If you get into the physics of why her mama moved better than that, her mama been around longer. That's all I'll say. Use your brain.
Right.
Her mama got much more seasoned than her daughter did. You know what I mean? And I can see it just the way she moved. You know what I mean? But I was looking at it, I said, here's 2 beautiful women, you know, dancing like that. Hey, what? That's not how it worked. My G-Ma and my mama wasn't doing that. No. You know what I mean? Wasn't on here, you know, what they hey, just wasn't on here with this. They just wasn't doing that. I don't hey, look, when you see me like that, folks, I'm watching what I say. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I got to be me, but you know what I'm saying? I got to tailor some of it back. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie to you. Hell, I'm a man. I like to see them do it. You know what I mean? But they getting wrong. That's all I'm saying.
The whole These grandmamas not going to the club with the granddaughters, got eyelashes and shit. They fly and stuff,
And, hey, look,
my
and then
grandmama,
it's
all I
now.
remember is that house coat and that steamed kitchen. They didn't have a lot of air conditioning, so when you walked in there, the windows was fogged up, and she had these tiny kitchens, but they prepared some of the most amazing meals. I tried to do something that my grandfather loved, and Stan, you probably get a kick out of this. Last year, out of my garden, I had 2 or 3 types of peppers, and one of them was a habanero, jalapenos, and all of that. So then I did a little research and made me a little vinegar base and put them in a jar. And the whole reason why I wanted to do it is because that jar with a little spout on it sat on my grandmama's table.
Yep.
And as I say, my granddaddy sprinkled that shit on everything. And it was hot. I mean, I tried it once. I thought, oh, my granddaddy eating that, but it was like their hot sauce. Yes. And so it went on his greens, it went on his chicken, it wasn't refrigerated. Nope. And you could see the little strands of peppers and everything. So I tried to do it, and I'll have y'all know that was last year. It's still in my refrigerator. I ain't tried it yet. I'm a little scared to try because I know it's with them habaneros. I know it's hot, but that was their culture. And he'd come home from work and sit at the table, whatever grandmama prepared for him, he would just be shaking. And I wasn't no more than 4 or 5. I'd just be sitting there looking at granddaddy. I'm watching him put this all on his food. Yep. And I knew it was hot, and I knew I didn't fool with it. But, black eyed peas or, kidney beans or those other beans that my mama used to cook, they were dark. And, for us to eat them, she would put pickle relish on them to make them a little sweet. And they weren't kidney beans. They were, oh my goodness. They weren't lima beans, but they were the brown, dark beans. Oh, shoot. Maybe they'll come back to me. But pinto beans, that was them, pinto beans. Yeah. And now in the modern homes, you don't even see people cooking those. Yeah. But my mother used to cook those with a big roast and some mashed potatoes. Mm-hmm. And boy, you talking about good. And they were pinto beans. But we as kids, we didn't want to eat them.
Pat,
so
you ain't got to go far. I know we got a couple thousand miles in between me and you, but pinto beans is a statement here, partner. You know what I mean? Really? Any meat I can put in there. I'm good with the pork. I know a lot of people, some people.
But here's the thing, my AB, that's at home. But I'm talking about like you don't go to restaurants and see a side order of pinto beans. No. You know what I mean? I mean, every now and then you'll see black eyed peas or something, but you don't see a side order or pinto beans or lima beans or anything like that. But we grew up on them. Yeah. Right, and it would seem to me that would be a great side item that you could go in and let's say it's a fried chicken place and they got pinto beans but you got to know how to cook them. I mean, obviously, you need some ham hocks or some turkey necks and, you need to season them well and boil them. And maybe that's the reason why they're not sold. But shoot, those were things we grew up on. My mama put them pinto beans in front of me and put some pickle relish on them. Shoot, I'd clean that plate.
Hey, I can just tell you like this. Hey, here, just to get your mind going, you got to have them pinto beans, them collard greens, the hot water cornbread, and what's going to be our meat of choice. Hey, to be honest with you, the pinto beans and the hot water cornbread, that's filling right there. You know what I mean?
So let's settle this debate. Let's settle this debate. Sweet cornbread or old school regular?
Crackling cornbread.
What you say?
Hey, you know what? You guys might hear it. For those of you guys that stayed in here this long, listen, you heard a voice. It has spoken. You know what I mean? Hey, listen, man, we done talked about a lot of things. Y'all ain't heard nothing. But now you starting to talk about things that that she deal with.
It's a conversation. I could go get my wife and she can really tell you about cornbread. I just don't eat a lot of it. For one, Pat Neely got to try to keep his weight down. So anytime I can have dinner and not eat bread, I won't eat it. But cornbread is a staple, and I want y'all to answer Steph's question because AB, you and Stan probably can answer. But one of the things that I love for AB to touch on, because you got so many listeners and all this, and we say stuff because we know it, but a lot of people, I bet you, don't know what hot water cornbread is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
And
gonna say
I
this
love
right
for
now.
you to just say that,
we
AB,
coming
and
up
then
on
we'll come back to Steph on which one is better. But AB, you got to explain hot water cornbread, because a lot of people don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Okay, you know what? This is true. And you know what? A lot of people have been asking me to do a hot water cornbread video. But because it's not a whole lot of ingredients, you know what I mean? I never been into that short of a form content. I just never did. You know, things that I make all the time, I don't make videos of, you know what I mean? And blah, blah, blah. But I finally did make it. And it's about 100,000 people to know what it is now. You know what I mean? It took everybody back. And you know what the first thing they say in the comments is, I didn't know. They say, my grandmama used to make it all the time. Now that she's passed away, you know what I mean? Like, mama don't make it. You know what I mean? Because now everybody got to have that Marie Callender's cornbread. Everybody like it sweet. It's like one tablespoon away from being cake. You know what I mean?
Right.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I like mine sweet. I ain't gonna, but I can go all kind of ways. But it ain't nothing like having
patties. They patties, ain't they?
They patties.
AB?
They cornmeal patties that's really like pre-cooked with the hot water. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can do all kind of things with it. You can even season them. You can. My thing is sometimes I add onions in them, and you know I like to do a fine chop on a real fine dice on the bell pepper. But when you start putting that in there, they start turning into, what's that? That's now we starting to make a hush puppy. You know what I mean?
AB, your granny turning over in her damn grave. You
I know,
turned around and
you're
messed
right.
up
You're right.
her
That's why I made them the way I did.
You done turned it into a
You're right. Hey man,
gourmet.
don't make me put my head down, bro. Hey, you don't make me put my head down on this desk, bro. That's why. Hey, listen. So look, I got Nada and Mitchie looking at me like that, you know, because I talked about, hey, I could do a whole lot with this. I could have really hit it with that Creole kick and gave it that, you know, that Southern but I can't do that. We got to stay true to the game. You know what I mean? Why? You know what? True to the game.
Turn it over. Like, boy, don't you mess up my doggone recipe.
You're right. You're right.
Steph, I want to get back to your challenge, because you asked sweet versus what, baby?
Regular. Some people do it where it doesn't have sugar. It's just butter, straight, you know, flour, cornmeal, or whatever. And then other people want it with butter and sugar, and you have to have a good cast iron. See, we have this debate here all the time. Some people think like, oh, you're just eating sweet cake. But for me, golden brown, crispy edges, and it has to be sweet.
Yes.
Is that your take, Stan? I really have to ask my wife, like, she does not prepare a meal without cornbread. And
hey, well, look, while we talking about this, let's get the people out there that's, you know, in here in the chat. Tell me which way you prefer it. You know what I mean? We just start putting up some random
that's great.
You can tell me how you prefer it and why. You know what I mean? Tell me what the OG is, sweet, no sweet. Really, that's it right there. I see somebody had put in there already. They said they put some Creole seasoning or some seasoning like that in there. But the real, hey, here's your seasoning. Let me give everybody the real seasoning, Pat. Let me put my grandmama, I don't even want to say it like that. Let me just get my granny straight. You know what I mean? Look, Granny, I'm trying to redeem myself from what I said. The real seasoning is dipping that cornbread in that pot liquor. Come on now.
Oh,
you know that. Hey,
stop it,
that's
boy.
it.
Stop
that's
it.
why. That's why it was made, folks. You know what I mean? So you're supposed to take that and you dip that in that green juice. For those of you guys don't know what that is.
Right. My grandparents used to AB while we listen.
Hey, thank you,
folks' comments.
Thank you.
While we're looking for folks' comments, my grandfather used to take it, and then, let's say there was greens, and y'all might be able to relate to this, and he would cut it up and mix it over into his greens. And I look at him like, oh my God, what are you doing? And then when you make a comment, he'd say, well, it's all going to the same place. But you know, but he would mix it into his greens. I never got into it, you know, but my wife is the same way.
Let me ask this question. Do you know what if you dump a cornbread, first of all, when my mama dumped the cornbread out of the skillet, I always thought that the bottom is what the cornbread looked like because I never saw the top because I was
right. So you see the dark edge. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know. I saw one right side up. I said, "What's that thing?"
Right.
But do you know
whether it was a cake or what?
I didn't know. But do you know what do you call that cornbread when you dump it out of the skillet? There's a name for it. Do you know what that's called? The round piece of cornbread.
Is it hoe cake? Am I saying it right?
It's a pone. Pone.
Oh, okay.
Pone. Pone.
Poem.
It's a
Really?
That's what a round piece of cornbread is called, is a poem.
Y'all got me.
Hey,
y'all
you know what?
I
Hey,
can't
put that
help
up for
myself.
Pat. Put that up right there.
Hey,
The one that's underneath that. Look at this,
Poem.
Pat.
Look.
Read that right there.
Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna use that shit the next time my wife makes a cornbread. Say, girl, give me some of that poem.
right. Hey, I hope you know what that means. You know what I mean? Hey, listen, I hope you know what that means. You know what I mean? When you say that, she might be looking at you like, hey, stop it.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
I'm cooking dinner. I said, that's what I'm talking about, baby, the poem right there. All right, so AB, what's this comment we got here?
From Dwayne's World.
Yeah, it says, I think a Food Network channel is your next destiny, AB. My homie. Always love your videos. Fire, baby. Thanks.
You know what? Hey, thank you. And, listen, we do appreciate it. Man, it's just so much that, that we want to do. You know what I mean? I've been blessed to be around great people, meet people. Steph is somebody that you can, she can attest to it. Just really met her, and she took her time. She was out here for only a few days and, came here and, just got a chance to meet. And yet here she is here. You know what I mean? This is the kind of person I am, you guys. And if you guys want to know, look, I done reached out to a lot of different people to be on the podcast. Let's do some collabs and all of that. I will say this is my disclaimer so everybody can hear it from me. Either they don't read their emails or they feel some kind of way. You know what I mean? So the people you see on here, these are the people who took the time to read their email and find out that, hey, I'm reaching out to them. You know what I mean? I'm trying to share like the 2 million people that follow me. I'm trying to give them to everybody. Because I think, man, the world, everybody just needs to know. And you guys in the chat, this is a perfect example of it. You guys got some great comments. You guys know different things is like regional to yours. You know what I mean? And, things like that. So anyway.
Well, and I would say this, I had a great career with Food Network and it was amazing. But so much has changed. There's so many avenues to get your platform and get everything out there. And, AB has done an amazing job with, his YouTube channels and everything that he has. And me and AB, we have a lot of conversations, and we talk about different things. And we say, look, we never say never. But one thing that we can say is that this train is moving, and it's moving like a locomotive. And AB is doing incredible things, including this podcast. And I want to thank him, for having us on. And then, all of his cooking videos. And it gives you what AB is doing, folks. I want you all to listen to me and understand. He is being unleashed like a stallion out in this huge pasture where he can just run and do all of the things that he want to do. And so I tell everybody, no, he's not on Food Network, and neither am I. And I spent a lot of years there. But I tell you one thing, you can go to his YouTube channel or tune into this podcast and get as much, if not more, than you would get if he was a host on Food Network or any other network for that matter, because, that's limited to 30 minutes and there's so many episodes and segments. Whereas here, AB is doing his own thing, baby. And he's on every Tuesday at 4:30 Western time and 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, and keeping it real and having his guest on. So let's not ever minimize what he's doing now, which I think is a hell of a lot larger than being on any network.
Hey, you know what? Thank you, bro. And I'm tired of people making me feel like soft. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what you said, man, was hey, when you were talking, bro, I felt like I was sitting next to myself looking at me like, hey, he talking about you, bro. You know what I mean? Hey, listen, but you forgetting this part. Listen, I'm just truly blessed to be surrounded by just good people, man. You know what I mean? Hey, you 4 people are just, and I'm not trying to minimize this. I know everybody's always trying to think like, how can I say something not to offend nobody? So I'm gonna say it this way. I'm just surrounded by great people. You know what I mean? And look, and I want to share it with the world. There's so many other people that are out there, especially it's connections that I have made in the past. And then what about the connections that I don't even know that I'm about to make when this podcast is over with? You know what I mean? So look, I just stay true, do what I think is, best for my channel and my brand.
Right.
And speaking of that, for those of you guys that are still in here and watching this podcast, don't forget you want to watch this on Real Talk with AB, right? Yes. Most of you guys are here. And then all you guys that's on Facebook, I know I'm streaming it on there also. I'm gonna be giving away. Listen, I'm gonna go ahead and just put it up right now, Mitchie. I'm gonna be giving away this Hexaclad
that's nice
15-piece cook set, right? I'm gonna be giving it away. What's the date? Is it the 20?
That's beautiful.
I don't know. It's at the end of the month though.
Right.
And the only way you're gonna be able to get
26.
It's the 26th. Be the last. Okay, you got to be on Real Talk with AB, and you're gonna want to be in there throughout the whole show. So listen, there'll be one grand prize winner of the 13-piece Hexaclad hybrid cookware set. It comes with lids, the whole shebang. That's the number one question you guys ask me. Like, hey, what are you cooking with? What you cooking on?
That's
AB?
gorgeous.
That's right
gorgeous. There. And people need to understand that, you got to have good utensils and cookware to make good food. That's amazing. I can't wait to get my set.
Are we eligible?
Hey, that was a good one. That was a good one.
Hey, Stan. If we ain't eligible, can we at least get it at cost? I mean, can it be a discount or something? I mean, yeah.
Right.
Right. I don't want something to get past us, AB. I want to do a couple of things before time runs out. And one is somebody made an incredible statement about Steph, and they were talking about her business. And I really want her to respond if we can. And then I want to hear about Stan's, he got some spices and stuff in front of him for him to kind of explain his business. But Steph, tell us what's going on, Design Diva.
Oh yeah, before she say this, I'm gonna say this, and this is the motto here at this place here: a closed mouth don't get fed. This falls under that. Whether you had somebody, hit it in the comment or do whatever, this is what you do. You utilize the platform that is given to you, and you make the best of it. This is why I left the comment up this whole time, and very, very good with you, Pat, for seeing it. It hadn't went away, and so now you want your 15 minutes of fame. Here we go.
Well, thank you. I'm blushing. I'm very honored because I wasn't here for that. Like I told him, I'm just Steph from the Chucktown or South Cadillac. But when he said, when I met him, like he's just a real person, like down to earth, humbling. Yes. Like I would always watch him on TV and I'll tell my husband like, oh my God, I wish one day I can meet him. And I always walk around the house like I'm watching my boy AB is what I would say. Right. And then to meet him, it's like I've known him my whole life, like friends forever. That's how he makes you feel. And I'm very surprised actually that my name is in the comments. It surprised me, but thank you for sharing with everyone. I was inspired by him based off of some of the conversations we've had and decided to do my thing. I've been doing it for years for free. So it's something that I love, and I got inspired to get it going and launch it. It's new, but I'm at the Design Diva on Facebook, the Design Diva 2022 on Instagram. So,
okay, you know what?
So tell us what Design Diva does, Steph. Okay. We really want to hear that.
Let me put my disclaimer in before you say anything. Mm-hmm. So, Pat, it's Stan. Now, you guys know me very, very well. So I'm hearing this. I'm hearing something that might be getting off of the ground. So now I want to hear all of the particulars because AB, an entrepreneur. You just never know. You just never know, folks. You know what I mean?
Right.
So tell us more about it.
So I do home interior decorating, and I'm not sure if you can see behind me which way I have to turn, but
no, we see it.
I love decorating. I basically goes from decorating your business, home staging for real estate. A lot of people don't know what they want to do. Like I have a vision, but I don't know. Can you please help me put it together? And then I come in, like I just have like a creative brain, and I'm like, well, do this, do that. Small changes can make a huge impact. So I love decorating. I love designing new things. Like I'm Bob the Builder over here. Like don't buy me jewelry, just buy me tools. And I told AB that, I love tools and building stuff and shiplap and wrought iron, tearing out the staircases, you name it. I do it all. I love decorating.
That's all good. So next time you in California, bring your. I got tools. You know what I mean? I got tools. Just bring your wear and your steel toes. You know what I'm saying? I'll get out here. And
AB is such a talent and it's a demand for what you do,
Mhm.
Steph. I mean, I've owned homes where the entire home was someone else decorated it, and they had the vision and the time to do things that there's no way that I could have done. I didn't have one for the home I'm in now, but girl, if you ever come to Georgia, I want you to come by and just be like, Pat, I would do this or I would do that, because me and my wife are not. Our home is very homey, but we're engulfed in our careers, and we don't put a lot of emphasis on certain centerpieces here and curtains here and things like that, and it really makes a home. My last home was completely decorated by someone who came in, and she was a family friend, and cut us this huge deal, and she would even go and buy stuff, and she would say, do you like it? And if we liked it, yeah, okay, it costs this. If not, she would take it back. So, girl, pursue your dream. I mean, in Charleston, I've been there. It's a beautiful city. And I wish you nothing but success. In any way that I can help and help promote, when you got certain stuff and you want to promote it, send it my way. I'll share it with my folks, because I know I got a lot of folks in Charleston that would love to probably have your services.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm very honored and blessed.
You know what I love that about about I'm gonna just say it's really, I guess it's my community. All the people that just like take the time. People that I'm involved with. Listen, we just a bunch. Just want to see everybody succeed.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And when I do something, I'm not looking for it to come back to me. I just ask everybody. I just tell them, hey, I tell everybody, pay it forward. You know what I mean? Hey, just do what you can for somebody else. You know what I mean? And incite somebody else.
And AB, a lot of times my reward comes if I can offer some advice or help someone. My biggest reward comes when I see them become successful. You know that you don't owe me nothing. Just succeed. Just do well, and then I'm happy.
Didn't I tell you that, AB? The first time I met you?
Yep.
So
I ain't gonna lie to you. Look, you won over my staff here, so
absolutely
you don't know. I don't even want to say this out loud, because now everybody that's been here probably thinking like, what, she didn't like me? They didn't like me. But I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna just say this. And if you won the staff over, you must be okay. Because these two right here are harder than nails. You know what I mean? And they liked you and loved having you here. Because I ain't gonna lie to you. When you first came, I told you when you came, they like, hey, she early. She called me. She was like, hey, she early. You know what I mean? I was like, here we go. I said, hey, we got to open up the red carpet for everybody now. I know how to manage my team. You know what I mean? Right. But after 15 minutes of us here, and after that, nobody was really talking to me. You know what I mean? They were just doing the lady thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you completely did great there. I just want to read this comment right here. I mean, go ahead and read that, please.
Yes. Angelique Angel says, Kenneth, my husband, acts like AB is his homeboy. Let's see what AB's cooking today. He acts like he knows you.
That's crazy. This one kind of like come back to you, Steph. When you first came, I remember we heard some noise outside, and we could hear some people talking, right? So I was in Mitzi's office talking to her. Then we opened the door. It was me, Mitzi, and Nada. We opened up the door, and I surprised you because you was opening up the door, and then you was just like, hey, I thought it was a camera crew finna say, I thought I was getting pumped. You know what I mean? You was like, oh, it's AB. Hey, look, it's AB. Then I look back, you was with a different, you was with another nationality. I was like, here come the cameras. You was like, hey, I'm here from South Carolina. I had to meet you. And the first thing you said is, look, I said, whenever I come to California, I'm coming there to meet you. Then you started talking about your husband. And then I was like, yeah, I got it. I said, your husband don't know you out here acting like I'm Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? I said that. But then after you put your husband, me, and we did the FaceTime, he said exactly almost like what Angelique just said. And you know what? I love it that way. You know what I mean? I have a wife, you know what I mean? And I stay true to my wife. You know what I mean? I don't want her to ever feel no type of way. But I let her know in the beginning, I'm in an all woman. I mean, us men, we coming on in the cooking, cooking field.
Yes.
But for those of you guys that know that I was on the road being away from home, it don't work if you got insecurities. You know what I mean? So I make sure I hold my queen next to me and keep her high up, and I keep no doubt in her mind. You know what I mean? Because she's my queen. You know what I mean? And I like the fact that I can meet all types of women. Hell, when I'm in Vegas, my wife is the one taking all these pictures. You know what I mean?
Right.
And in the beginning, I was like, ooh, maybe moving to Vegas wasn't so great. You know what I mean? But my wife, she just laughed. She said, hey, this is just part of the game. You know what I mean?
AB,
Huh?
AB, that's a whole nother show, dog.
Oh, that is-
we gonna take that. We're gonna take that to a whole nother level.
Right,
We're going
right.
Educate these brothers. But I will say this before we turn it over to Stan is what we don't realize a lot, AB, is the impact that we have on so many people. You know, we shoot videos, we do television, we do certain things, but when you see a comment like this, Kenneth is my husband, acts like AB, you know, it tells us that we're just cooking, we're just doing what we do, but we have an amazing impact on so many lives. You know, back when I was doing all the shows down home with the Neelys with Gina, and I would get so much fan mail that say, you know, finally now my husband is getting in the kitchen and cooking with me. My husband is cooking with me and he kissed me on the back of my neck. And aside from all the great recipes and everything that I was doing, you know, I felt like I was really making an impact on family and people's lives. And to me, you can't put a dollar amount on that. So hats off to you that, you know, Kenneth is trying to follow your lead, you his homeboy, you know, and he wants to cook like you, because the wife is saying probably more than he is saying, like, thank you. I can prop my feet up this evening and watch Wendy Williams and The View and all this shit that I taped earlier, because Kenneth in the kitchen trying to be like AD. You know, so it's a gratifying feeling, I should say. And you know, thank you, brother, because you're changing lives in people's homes.
Hey, you know what? And Stan, I'm finna get out of your way because I know you got something. Or let me just say this, y'all. For those of y'all that stayed and seen this right here, we have something to talk about. But I'm gonna let Stan do his thing.
Oh,
hey, just a lot of people wouldn't know though. Like, you got a lot of guidance, man. You know, Down Home with the Neelys was more of a, I'm gonna say what it was for me. It was more of a family show, you know what I mean, than it was a cooking to me was second. You know what I mean? It was just like you guys opened up the home and people got to see real, you know, a real family, you know, just get down and just see how they interact, you know, and how to conduct yourself. You know what I mean? Just like it was just like a basic blueprint. You know what I mean? So don't play that down. This is why I'm always picking your brain.
And it was real, AB. I mean, I didn't have a script. I didn't have anything. You know, when they said action, we knew we had 4 segments of different recipes that we were going to cook. But everything that we said and how we reacted was real. It was what we did when the cameras was turned off. And so I didn't expect the response from so many people talking about how they were inspired by our relationship and everything. And it wasn't planned that way. It just happened. And same with you. You get on there and you're doing recipes and stuff. It's not planned that I'm trying to have an effect on Kenneth's life. But this is the cream on top of the cake when you get those kind of comments. And I'll just leave it at that. That's another show that you're going to have a lot of. But Stan, I want to hear about your spices, because me and you, the Barbecue King, might be able to do some business with you. So tell me, what are you doing over in Hot Springs with all these amazing spices?
First of all, look in his background right there. You see that? You see all them bottles right there?
I see the shelves. I see it. That man knows marketing. He wasn't trying to sit in no office and stuff. He said, right. Hey, AB. He said, I put all my shit in the background back here. I put it all up here for everybody.
Right.
But I'd love to hear, Stan, a little bit about your business. I mean, I'm intrigued because I love spices.
Well, for the sake of sounding redundant, because AB's heard this 1,000 times. I've been with AB for 5 years. When AB and I first crossed paths, he had like 20,000 subscribers. And we've been business partners, best friends, family ever since then. But it all started in 2017 when I was courting, and yes, in the South we still say courting. For other people who don't know what that means I was dating my now wife. I was trying to find out where she lived, but she wouldn't tell me. Like 6 months, she wouldn't tell me. And, but I'll tell you what, how about if I come over and cook for you? And she says, if you get past the dog, then I'll let you in my apartment. I'm a dog person, love dogs, always have, always will. She said, that's fine. So she gave me the address, and I came over there and knocked on the door. Didn't hear anything. Knocked again. Heard her say, come in, like in a question, like, come in. Well, you were expecting me, I hope. Open the door, and her dog, now our dog, Smoky Joe, was sitting in the middle of the door, just kind of, doing the little, RCA dog thing at me, right? And that's Smoky Joe right there.
Oh,
and
good.
So I went over there, pet him, whatever, and he was all good with it. And I looked up, and she was in the kitchen, and she was just standing there with her mouth agape, just like, oh my gosh. Well, fast forward, we found out why, because Smoky Joe has little dog syndrome, and he hates everyone. I mean, I can do his house, and he starts going wild and barking. We have to put him up for the termite.
Look at that, Steph. Look at Steph. Look at her.
Oh my gosh, Stephanie.
You're popular in my house, Stan.
Everybody got spices but me.
Hey, don't worry. Don't worry.
Up that somebody said how much they loved Stan's spices. It was just up. I'm like, everybody got it but me. I feel left out.
Oh, Stephanie, thank you so much. Oh my God.
You're welcome.
Wow, you didn't even say anything. It's been like 2.5 hours. Okay. Ooh, you just took this train right off the tracks. I mean, wow. Well, anyway, how did I top that? All right, long story short, get to the end. I have a line of seasonings that's very low in sodium because every time I would go try to find some seasonings, all I tasted was salt, 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 salt. Look at the ingredients. This thing is salt, 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 salt. So it took me about a year or so to develop a formula. Like AB was alluding to earlier, I have a bachelor's in biology and a minor's in chemistry. And I didn't quite make it down the doctor's realm because life happened, and that's another story. Mm-hmm. But I used that background to come up with a way to devise a seasoning that contains all the flavor, but yet not all the salt. Right. And so, because I know a lot of people have hypertension, a lot of people enjoy stuff. They have high blood pressure because our foods are laden with all this MSG and sodium stuff, things we don't need, but things that our body has been trained to need since childhood. Right. Because, you see a baby with the bottle instead of milk, they're drinking Coke. I mean, it's horrible. Right. So long story short, that's what I've come up with. The best testament I have to that is AB's belief in it, because if he didn't believe in it, he'd never have it on his show.
Absolutely.
And that's why that we've become such family members basically. And this right here, this Creole Kick is my baby. This is my flagship, followed by the garlic butter. But I'm going to now use this time to segue back to AB on probably something that is I'm just as proud of.
Okay. Oh, so that's me. Hey, that's me, folks. Yeah, okay. Hear ye. Hey, bro, you on the
something that I am truly proud of, AB.
Okay, yeah, I got it. So listen, it's finally here, folks. Hey, listen, you know what? I don't know if I'm burnt out or not. I've been waiting on it. You know what I mean? Stan has helped me develop it. You know what I mean? And use some of that chemistry background that he have to show me that, there's other things that you can add in, to what, to make it the flavor we want. It had to be low on sodium also. So this is it, folks. I got them right here. Look, I got about 3,000 of each. It's the A and B, right? I don't know. You can see them right here. Look, I tell you what you guys do. Go to my website. Look, I got an ABC season coming out also. That should be here in about the next, I'm going to say in about 14 days. But listen, what he has in his hand right now, listen, it's the A and the B. If he turns it just right, I tried to design the label so that it would come up if he did it just right. My initials is AB, and that covers all your meats. You got your light meats, right? That'll be your fish, poultry, stuff like that. That'll be on your A side. And then your dark meats. Listen, I'm getting ready to put out a couple of videos now that I got it. You know what I mean? And I can show it. But that's it right there. You guys want to get a little piece of me?
My goodness.
I promise you, it'll be a reoccurring thing. Listen, it's on my website, or you can go to sweetsmokyjoe.com. You know, and we working on it right now. And I will say I'm thankful for the, you know, for Stan, because he had a chance to get his products in the mainstream, you know, grocery store. And then he decided, him and his family decided to put it on hold and to take me with him. So now, you can go to sweetsmokyjoe.com. You can go ahead, look on there. I believe it's on the homepage. You can go there, just scroll down. You'll see it right there. You guys got to get it. And I will say this, thank you. It's only probably it's less than 2,000 left, because a little bit over 1,100 of them went as soon as he went live. He sent out an email, which I'm thankful for too.
So, Stan, I mean, we got to talk. I mean, because I had my dry rub nationally sold all over. And I pulled it several years ago, you know, after my show ended and all of that. And I pulled it. I needed to redo the labels and all of that. But I'd love to spend some time with you, you know, talking about a good dry rub, or Pat Nigley's barbecue dry rub, you know, because people constantly ask for it. Yeah. And back in the day, I had it where it was e-commerce, so you could get it in the grocery stores, or it was shipped along with a couple of flavors of barbecue sauce or one of my cookbooks or something like that. But I love, you know, I love the medium-sized businesses like yourself, where you get to talk to the actual scientists of it and explain. And, you know, one of the things that people don't understand, and you'll appreciate this about me, is I literally take my finger and I taste it way before I season it with any meat or anything, and I can determine it. The other thing that I've been really wanting to do is come up with an all-purpose seasoning that is universal, that you just, you know, like I got some now, I just season it, everything with it. Chicken, pork chops, steak, you know, and then I add some pepper and onion and all of that. But I've always been intrigued, because in the early days of running my restaurants, we developed our own seasonings. We get the smoky paprika and the onion powder and the brown sugar and all of that, and we mixed it. But man, I am, it's such an honor and a privilege to meet you. And I'm gonna come over to Hot Springs one of these days. I'm gonna bring AB, and we're gonna stay at the Arlington. And
no. Wait. Hold up.
Let me finish. We're gonna stay.
Okay.
We ain't gonna let them old ass men give us our own damn bath. And then we'll get our
Hold on. It's all good. It's all good. No. I wasn't even saying it for that. But I'm just saying, Stan put me up in a brand new hotel that was like brand spanking new. You know what I mean? And hey, they put a care package in my room. That was
Hot Springs if you don't stay at the Arlington. That's
okay, you know what? Let's do it.
We ain't gonna let them old ass men give us a bath, baby.
No.
Baths.
Hey, let me go ahead and hit you with that serious voice. Hey, you know what? Let me get my voice right. Let me get right up on it and tell you, like, I ain't worried about it. You know what I'm saying? Because
I got you.
Hey, I can do 95% of that stay at the Arlington, but I got to draw a line in the sand somewhere. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. Hey, you know what? I know where we are right now. This is
in that tub, and that old man come running with that scrub brush and shit, and see you jump out that tub and take off running.
Oh no! First of all, hey, check it out. Hey, look. If you really want to talk about that. I just got in the tub very, very recently, and it ain't really a tub; it's a jacuzzi tub. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm an OG from the old school. I stand up and do the shower. Back when my granny house didn't even have a separate, you stood in your towel, and there was you stood in your tub, and it was a head up there. That's how we took showers. Hey, I don't know, and I ain't saying nothing. You know what? I know time has changed, and people doing all kind of stuff. You know, I'm broke from the one earring in the left ear. I just want to let you know where I'm coming from. I never done jeans. I never let a man give me a bath, because I promise you, when he put his hands on me, that'll be the last time. Hey, you know what? I don't even want to.
Hey, Stan, I promise you, we're coming, but we ain't gonna shut down the Arlington. We promise. We're gonna act right. We'll be right, Art. We'll be right, man.
I got you.
Oh yeah. Hey, thank you, Yolanda. Hey,
oh my goodness. Okay.
Looking to the person that asked, like, want to see more fish videos, all of that. I don't know if you guys can like see it. Like, hopefully you see it. If you look at my face, I can see it. I'm starting to. I can see that I'm starting to lose like a little weight. You know what I mean? And it's coming from I can see it like in my face. I can tell in my waist because I don't have no more holes. I've added 2 holes to my belt. You know what I mean? And
good for you.
Hey, soul food cooking. Hey, hey, that's somebody we got to get on here. You know what I mean? Hey, that right there, that's family too, folks. For you guys that's in here, you got to go by and check out their YouTube channel if you don't already know about it. You know what I mean? Listen, you want to talk about putting together very, very instructional, good, videos. They got it all. And listen, it's a little bit on the short form, but they do it well. They've been doing it for a while. You know what I mean? And listen, when I need something, that's who I go to. You know what I mean? And again, it goes back to this. You're talking about being blessed. You know what I mean? And when I say I'm being blessed, and hopefully I can do something to you guys, so you guys can just share in some of these blessings that I have. You know what I mean? And, so just having him around me, I'm able to call and talk to Stan. I can talk to Pat. I can talk to, Steph. You know what I mean? I can talk to my wife. I got my team here, just the people that I meet. You know what I mean? Just, hey, anointed. I see a lot of spiritual talk that's inside of the inside of here. A lot of people have left out of here, but you know what? We all know we can just read and see keywords and just let you know. You know what I mean? When you
I want to say this, Stan. I mean, AB. I enjoy so much when you and I get together and we had these conversations. And I know that this show and this episode was really about the history of food. But I went on live on my Facebook page and all of my social sites, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I have cooking videos on there. It's Pat Neely BBQ King. And I told them that we would be talking about the history of food, but I also told them it's going to be very entertaining. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to joke. We're going to laugh a lot. And that's what really it's all about when you integrate food and good people and good conversation is that, we're going to jump. I told people and on a video that I did right before we came on that, hey, Yolanda, another Memphis native, I told them that we're going to veer off and we're going to have some fun and we're going to have some laughs and we're going to enjoy each other. And that's what I enjoy so much about AD. It's like we trip, we talk business, we talk good food, we talk marriage, relationships. It's the whole gamut. And so AB kind of hinted out earlier that he and I in season 2 are going to co-host a podcast that's going to be very entertaining. There'll be a mixture of food because a lot of our fans and followers are foodies, but we're also going to talk about real life things, probably some current event things. We're going to talk about, our growing up, being married and being siblings, being head of households and, raising kids, the whole gamut, because all of that is intertwined with food. One of the things I learned about food and preparing meals is that I used to pull my girls in the kitchen when they were younger, and they're 27 and 33 now. And I'm going to leave y'all with this, and I would pick them up and I would say, how was school? How was your day? And they would say, okay, nothing, this, nothing. They wouldn't talk to me. And as soon as we got home and we washed our hands, I was like, y'all need y'all to get y'all in the kitchen to help me. You peel the potatoes. I need you to rinse off the lettuce and this and that. And then it was at that point is when they would say, Dad, guess what happened? And I'd be like, what? And I was trying to get there all alone. But as she's chopping the lettuce and she's peeling the potatoes and she's running the water, Rico, he tried to do this, or my teacher tried to do this. Then the conversation comes. And so what I've learned is that food is centered around our entire lives. Yeah. And that's what AB and I want to bring is great conversation, great socialization, give some knowledge, and hopefully inspire and then entertain. And I'm so excited because he's my brother from another mother. I just have to say, when I met him, I didn't know him that well, but as the conversations went on, just like you guys have described, he is one real brother. So when you say real talk with AB, real cooking with AB, you getting the real deal. Ain't no filter, ain't nothing. And it is a pleasure and an honor to be his friend.
Hey, so look, everybody got all these words to say all of that, but I'm gonna say something like that. When I say it, man, I just mean it. I don't need to have no other fluff with it. I'll just say this, man, because it means something when I say it. Hey, thank you, man. You know what I mean? That's just it. When I say thank you, it should shake the ground. You know what I mean? Because that's just what I mean. I don't have all them adjectives and try to describe and build up to thank you and all of that. When I tell you, thank you, thank you. You know what I mean? Hey, Rodney Pete, you enjoying all of this? Hey, hey, listen, I'm gonna say we all appreciate it, man. And then you know what? You gotta, hey, listen, for me, man, you gotta go, if you haven't already, you gotta go to Real Talk with AB. You gotta Did it stop already? Oh, I'm sorry. Huh? Oh, snap. They got me off guard. Look, they trying to tell me, like, look behind Stan. Okay.
We done had so much fun. We don't want to stop.
Right. They got me. I'm like, what's happening? Okay, I see it. There she is. Look, it was so much stuff we wanted to talk about, you guys. You know what I mean? But this is what I like. When you say real talk, this is it. Then we got oh, you know what? If you guys don't mind,
hey, before we leave, can everybody at least give their social handles and sites so that everybody that's been listening know where to find Stan and Steph and their businesses? I've already said mine. It's Pat Neely BBQ King. That's on all sites, and you can find me there. But I'd love for Stan and Steph to throw out their at least their websites or their social media handles so we can find them.
Stephanie. Right. You know what? My bad. You know what? I gotten so wrapped up.
That's okay. You ain't so bad. We
you know what I mean?
Good.
Look, I'm looking at the time. You know what I mean? And look, we all been here since 7:00 this morning. We working on. We burning the candle over here now. My brother-in-law just hit me up and said, "Are we taking in is there a call-in option?" If you guys want to hear some people get turned up, second season is going to be amazing. That's all I'm gonna say. Hey,
it's going to be lit.
It's gonna be lit. You know what I mean?
Lit up.
Hey, I see the characters already.
And we're gonna need Missy to really horn our butts in, because we'll go for 2-3 hours. You and I we talk like that, and so we got to put time limits on our time. But I really just, before we get off, and I know we've been way over, I just want Steph and Stan to really tell us, how we can find them on social sites and on the internet, because I think it's important.
Okay. We'll start with you, Steph, and then we'll close with Stan.
Okay. First, I just want to say it was such an honor to be here in the room with everyone. Like AB to tell you, I'm a long fan and I don't want anything. I'm just happy to be along for the ride. And it was just an honor that someone threw in the comments for me, but it's the Design Diva on Facebook, at the Design Diva on Facebook, and Instagram, the Design Diva 2022. So
Design Diva.
Girl, I'm finding you right now, Design Diva, and I'm putting you in. Right now, I am following you. Okay.
You know what? And Mitchie's typing it in right now, 2022 on IG, huh? So she'll put that up. And that'll come up on the screen. Is that correct right there?
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right.
Perfect.
And then on Facebook, at the Design Diva.
Okay.
We got it.
Thanks, guys.
You'll pick up a few followers there. Stan, let me ask you this: Do you really need a? do you really need an outro? You know what I mean? Come on, talk to me, Stan. How do we find you and your amazing products?
I want to say it's such a pleasure to meet Steph and Pat, and I hope that it doesn't, and I know that it's not. This is just the beginning of a relationship, not the end of the relationship. What Pat talked about, as far as everything happens over the food prep, the dinner, even the washing the dishes. We talked about that before we came on air, and that's not isolated. It's not a regional thing. It's not a Western thing. It's a worldly thing because we all got to eat,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
that's where things are going to be hashed out. That's where problems going to be solved. But no, it's obviously Sweet Smoky Joe across all platforms. But it's been it's such a pleasure, such an honor. There's no better way I'd want to spend any night than doing this right here. And my love is just for everyone. My appreciation is to everyone, and it's just my motto: faith, family, and friends. You keep it in that order, you can't go wrong. Faith first, family second, and then what's left over is for your friends. Keep in that order. You can't go wrong. So thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Stan. Thanks so much. It's been such a pleasure to meet you guys. And, you make connections like this and they become everlasting. Now I know when I come to Hot Springs, man, I get to come holler at you. And we probably will have conversations before then because, I've been looking for a bottling company, and it's got to be somebody that has passion that can help distribute because the requests are strong. I've been so busy with other things that I haven't been paying attention to it. But this has been amazing. And AB, every time we hang out, man, look at it. We've been going way. I mean, it's what 2.5. Missing.
Well, we're coming up on what? Let's see, 2 hours. Just a little bit over 2 hours.
Yeah.
How do I say it? Hey, I told you this probably would be a longer one. You know what I mean? Just having some people in here. And then for you guys that are in here, listen, the ultimate goal is to have, okay, so you guys know season 2, Pat and I will be co-hosting, the Real Talk, right? But I think it'd be great if he and I can sit next to each other, you know what I mean? And just have more of a conversation, get the comments read. And I promise you the show getting better and better. If you ask me, I like it.
Yes.
My brother-in-law, doing it with Jay Wade, hey, he gonna give me the real. Now, when this is over with, he'll give me about 15 minutes to talk to everybody, and after that, he gonna call and tell me, and you right on. You know what I mean? So he'll tell me, you know what I mean? Listen, I got a lot of help. You know what I mean? Just trying to get it. But one thing I can tell you, there was a comment in here that they said the Food Network sometimes tries to change people. You know what I mean? And I got it. But if you don't know, if you've been following me, if you had enough about you, not even that though, if you just had something about you and you saw one of my videos, Smoking and Grillin with AB, and you push subscribe, that's the way you're gonna see me, whether I'm on the Food Network. You know what I mean? No matter what though, they haven't been beating down my door. You know what I mean? Because I'm real quiet in the evening. They can come in the evening and talk to me anytime, but they ain't came yet. But the ultimate goal is for me to put together something and get this network off of the ground. And when I do, then when they come, it's gonna cost them triple. You know what I mean?
Better say it.
Down and you know what I mean?
You better preach it. And I'll say this, AB, in today's time, not just Food Network, but everything that you're doing, you don't necessarily need a network. I mean, you create your own network, you got your own platform, you got, 2 million folks following you on a weekly basis. I think you're doing pretty damn good without any networks. I won't just say Food Network, but any network. And I see my comments of people that rave about your videos and everything. And boy, they better look out because now that Pat and AB getting ready to partner, they ain't seen nothing yet. It's just finna get kicked off. So hey, thank you so much.
Pat, I just want you to look right there. Look, you see, it's a comment. The last comment down the bottom say the Lisa Delight Show. Lisa D. Delight Show. I know her. You know what I mean? Hey, she on the East Coast. She got a heavy accent. I don't know her personally, but I've been talking to her. You know what I mean? That's somebody I think, man, that we could work with, though, bro. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm just putting that out here.
Look, maybe she'll honor us with her presence in season 2 and come on and Lisa D girl, come on and sit down with Pat and AB and let's talk.
You see how I do that?
Let's throw up a little chop there, Lisa.
I put Pat on you, girl. I put Pat on you, Lisa. Now it's hard for you to say no. You know what I mean?
Say no, Lisa.
Yeah, you can't. It's getting hard. You know what I mean? Because next
we'll be calling
and all of that.
We'll be calling you, Lisa.
That's right. Hey, so listen, I just want to say, you know what? Just to wrap it up, you know what I mean? We've been going for a minute. We've been going for 2 hours and 15 minutes. I want to say thank you for everybody that did stay. Don't forget all of these podcasts, from episode 1 to episode, I think this is 7. Oh no, excuse me. This is episode 8. Oh, it's
Wow.
they coming down. You know what I mean?
Wow.
You guys, wherever you getting your podcast. So check it out. When you hear these like this, these are great for like when you're going to work or you're
Right.
coming from work. I don't know if you from out here and you coming from LA, you coming out here to the IE, you on the freeway.
Right.
So listen, you looking for something different. You ain't always got to be banging your head and doing all that.
Right.
Why don't you download one of these, stream one of these podcasts and just, check it out and laugh with us, So listen,
Right.
I just want to say, hey, thank you to everybody that participated. Stan, Pat, Steph, myself, my team for staying late. This is gonna cost me, folks. I just want to let y'all know.
Me too. But hey, look, if it's gonna cost you, you might as well have damn fun. And we had a lot of fun.
There you go.
There you go. We'll pay for it. We'll pay for it. Thank you guys so much.
Right.
Such a pleasure staying to meet you and Steph. And best of luck to you and your businesses. And we'll have to connect sometime down the road. Steph, maybe you're only about 5 hours from me, honey. You come over here and make me fix up this dungeon a little bit.
I would love to. Thank you. It's a pleasure meeting you. And Stan.
You know what? Hey, thanks, folks. I see all the love. I see everybody, dropping in the love right now. You know what? I do appreciate it. Don't forget, this is going to be. I know you guys are watching it on Smokin and Grillin with AB, which I do appreciate that. But listen, the ultimate goal is to get everybody to go to Real Talk with AB. The channel name, kind of like we're going to figure that out for season 2. But just know, Pat Neely and myself will be hosting it. We got a lot of different topics. Next week's guest will be Mike Lee. I know Mike Lee, he here. Mike Lee gonna be with me to the end. Mike Lee, Hey, listen, you guys want to know about the magic from the board? Listen, he probably next door right now, doing his thing. You know what I mean? So listen, he'll be in there. Listen, we're gonna talk all kind of stuff. Hey, he's just a good brother. And then I'm gonna let you guys know right off the bat, he's a musician. You know what I mean? So when you do that, you see him, hey, it's gonna all come into play. How smooth, his aura, the whole thing, all the way down to the boards. So with that being said, listen, and then 2 weeks from that, we're going to have Laura in the kitchen. You know what I mean? Nice. So listen, it's just a lot of people have shown love to the channel. You know what I mean? And I can keep going on and on. Listen, I don't want to take up nobody's time, but just letting you know for the next 2 weeks. Don't forget, go to Real Talk with AB if you haven't already. When this is over with, go there and subscribe. Leave a comment. Just say, AB, I just did. You're going to want to leave a comment on the last show because that's when we're going to do the giveaway. And with that being said, if you've been watching my videos, folks, look, Anna Payne say my smartphone battery is getting low. I'm so sorry. Hey, I got it, though. Hey, you know what? I have talked and listened, and I know, hey, we at the end. So listen, if you've been following me for a minute, you guys know how I end all my videos, right? I usually say something like, hey, thanks, blah, blah, blah. The channel is bringing, tell everybody out there, blah, 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 blah. But guess what? The part y'all waiting on is this right here. Guess what? We out. Peace.